Oh, hey. Is it not getting? Yeah, wait. Why isn't it getting desktop audio? Okay, hold on. That sounds like that means they couldn't hear any of you. God damn it. God damn it. Oh, this is how every stream begins, I swear. Okay.
A well-oiled machine.
There we
Open
go.
machine, just well-oiled.
It's because I put headphones in. That's what happened.
Okay, chat. I hear me now, chat. 1122 wee wee poo poo.
Wow. I have no arguments.
Hey.
Sounds
like
yes.
sounds like it's fixed.
Well, now that
Hello,
we got
chat.
some people in here, I'll switch over, and now that they can hear us, more importantly, I'll switch over for a minute. Show off your gameplay trailer, or just your trailer or something. Give everyone a perspective.
Dead End Road, right?
Dead End Road. Your latest release was The Nothing. Is that correct?
That's correct. Yes, you've done your homework. I'm very impressed.
I bought it actually. I bought it last night.
Oh, thank you very much.
Yeah.
You've done
which one did you buy?
I bought The Nothing.
Oh, that's right. I was like, I bought you Dead End Road, you fucker.
No, you bought me Dead End Road because we were looking. Every year we look for like the little indie horror games that like maybe haven't gotten a lot of like a ton of attention, but look really promising. And so Jordan got me Dead End Road to kickstart that up, and it was really good, really hard, but
holy shit,
like super hard. Actually,
yeah. Well, you know, I think one of the threads that run through my games is that although I personally don't like hard games, my games always turn out hard for some reason. I don't know why. I don't like giving people an easy time. You know, I think that maybe that if I wanted to make easy games, then it would be easier making them. So they have to be hard.
Fair enough.
So we got the Dead End Road trailer playing here. Hopefully you guys should be able to hear that.
Oh man, yeah. I remember it had the funkiest sounds with the grandma talking there.
Oh yeah, I love those dialogue sounds. That was so abrasive right from the start. So good.
I think abrasive is a good word for the game in total. I think.
Yeah, that's definitely what that kind of lo-fi thing seems to help emphasize. It's how like in your face everything kind of can get. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Childish Rambino is asking me if I got my name from an art student description. No.
Depressing drawers.
He's making a pun.
Drawers. Oh, I get it.
Drawers.
Right.
Yeah.
The canonical is that it's drawers as in a chest of drawers. Is the canonical meaning behind it.
You can read that on the Expanded Universe Depressing Drawers wiki.
Yeah. The DDDWares cinematic universe.
Yeah. Find out all about what's canon, what's not. Keep up. I do have characters that reoccur in all of my games. You do.
I am trying to build up a little a little cinematic universe in my own little pretentious way.
May I ask, or maybe it's possible we haven't gotten far enough in some of them, but like in I didn't know. Is it the same shop? Is one of the shopkeepers the same one from The Nothing and Dead End Road?
Certainly is, and also he's in Carpe Diem as well.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
And the witch from Dead End Road is also in The Nothing.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
I haven't gotten far enough then. And then I will say, yes, the Nothing is also incredibly hard. The note of hard games. I was getting my ass kicked last night playing it.
That game definitely gets easier as you spend a little bit more time with it. You know, you can get, well, I can get through it in about 15 minutes. So yeah, I think once you get a hang of it, it's a little bit easier.
That's fair. It definitely takes some getting used to. I keep having to remember to use the dash move to like shift past enemies and not take damage. That's the thing to get used to, I noticed. But
the dash is really important in that game.
It's a very, that one has an incredibly unique look to it.
Thank you.
I would love to know what the inspiration for some of that was. Like for...
Originally, the inspiration was an old arcade coin-op game called Rolling Thunder. I don't know if you've come across it.
Rolling Thunder. I haven't heard of that one now.
Yeah, so it's a really old 80s coin-op game, which I very much like and enjoy to this day. And that's where I stole the jumping between floors mechanic from.
Oh, okay.
So that was the main inspiration behind it. But I didn't want to do a side scroller. I wanted to do a single room layout type thing, just to make it easier on development, really, more feels. And then also I could do some nice transition effects between the rooms. So that was it.
I saw that they kind of pulled out individual elements.
Mm.
Yeah, that was cool.
Thank you.
Yeah, I should get some footage of that up here too, so people know.
I know, right? Yeah, we gotta track that down.
I gotta be on top of this.
It's okay, don't worry. It's fine. Let's keep it informal.
That's fair.
And we need. I can't even think of something formal to make a joke. Holy shit!
Oh. So I noticed in the games you've put out that they all have these like goofy old school Halloween themes in them.
Yeah.
They might not have all released around Halloween, but they've got to have skeletons, you know? Mm-hmm. They got to have something demonic.
Nice.
What pushes you to the themes?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm a big fan of the sort of what's the term for it? Blood and pickles, 80s slasher horror, where they just, they've got buckets of fake blood and they're just tossing it up against the walls, and it's all very overblown and theatrical. And I guess some of it comes from that, and also that I've never really let go of my goth phase. So
now we know why there's no camera.
Well, I mean, I just don't have a camera as well. I mean, that probably takes.
No.
Everyone just imagine he looks like Tim Curry on the other side of this.
Oh God! I feel like I'm a little bit less dishevelled than Tim.
You're
just barely.
You have no evidence to defend yourself.
I don't. But then I never wanted any of it to be about me as a person. I always wanted it to be about the games. So I'm not in it for the prestige. Not that there's any prestige to be had out of it, but
prestige to be had out of it. There's the don't worry about it. If you think about it, I mean, everybody recognizes IGF winners on the streets. They get stopped for autographs frequently.
Yes.
I do have a fairly low opinion of the whole indie award thing.
Oh, really?
Maybe because I've never got one, but.
I don't even know what the process is like.
I think it's a circle jerk, I think it's just, there's a load of people who've got connections, and every year they just sort of have a little toss-off session between all their mates and give each other awards. I'll definitely
I do know that that most, especially the most of the, it's weird to even call them old guard now because it still feels like Meat Boy and Fez and the like are relatively new, but
well, they are getting on in age, I guess.
But they all knew each other beforehand, right? They
Yeah.
all worked together, knew each other.
All voted on boards with one another.
Oh, what?
That's why. Because in Isaac, the character Judas.
Oh yeah, that's right.
He wears a fez. That's because Phil Fish didn't vote for them in one of these little circle jerks.
That's right. I forgot about that. Yes, he cast him as Judas, the backstabber of Jesus.
So that's why I don't feel bad in making these wild accusations.
I'm still not
being subtle.
I have to say what I think. It'll get me in trouble one of these days, but I just can't let it go. I'm like a terrier with a rat.
We've said a lot more horrifying things on the stream.
That's true. We've done an entire stream that was just ejaculation jokes, like a full 2 hours of pretty much that. So.
I hope no one was listening while they were eating their dinner. Especially not, some clam chowder or something. Oysters, that would be a poor choice.
Otherwise, they got to have dinner twice. Oh, yeah.
That's right. That's where we got.
Accidentally, we were playing public domain videos in the background. And one public domain movie came up that was so strange that we finally started paying attention to it, and it happened to be Birth of a Nation.
Yeah,
that was a weird day.
Yeah, we had been playing 20 minutes of the most racist film made by accident.
Yeah.
You could try slapping on Naked Lunch in the background and see if that gets me.
Oh, that'd be great.
I really like that film, actually. I watched it recently. I was like, this film is pretentious, but it's actually a good watch. It's a decent sit.
It's a very difficult sit. Although I loved it as well. I didn't think it was that difficult. I'm watching it, and my surface level analysis is about this is a story about a very bad person who's also a writer and a drug addict, and that turned out to be exactly what it was about. So true. Watching it made me feel very paranoid and sick because of everything is like brown in that movie, and then. The one splash of color you get is the time someone turns into a centipede to rape someone. And it's at that point where you go, oh.
So killing him at the same time as well, I guess.
And killing him at the same time. Yes, that's right. He's stabbing,
the only bit in that film that made me feel really uncomfortable was when the typewriters eat each other. That made me feel a bit weird. I was a bit like, I don't know how to feel about this. This is a bit...
Yes, the typewriters eating each other. The typewriter that has sex with the two others, or tries to have sex with the two others that are already having sex. That got a little weird too. When the maid had to come in and throw the butt typewriter out the window.
Yes.
Because it was. All real things that happen in the movie.
They truly are. I did like that film though, and I thought, it gave me a lot of respect for, and I failed to forget the actor's name, but RoboCop.
Yeah.
I was like, this guy's actually a really good actor. Like, I don't know how I could act in those sort of scenes that's going on, and he's just got like this incredible deadpan, like
throughout, all
whilst-
this weird shit.
whilst there's fucking streaks of cum flying through the air and stuff, and he's just not bothered about it. Like, it's just an incredible feat of acting to not look shocked at some of that stuff that's going on.
True, and to not laugh when someone tells you that this alien you're talking to is called a what were they called? They had the funniest names in that.
Damn, I can't remember.
Mogloids or something. It was something very odd and kind of Dr. Seussy almost.
Yeah, it was like Saturday morning cartoon alien sounds names.
Dang it! Yeah.
So
you sent it to us on Slack after you'd watched it.
Yes.
Mugwumps.
Mugwumps. That's what it was.
They were mugwumps.
Oh my criminy!
Sounds like a distant cousin of an Ewok or something.
If they weren't associated with that movie, you could almost see them fitting into a Star Wars alien.
Oh
look.
yeah.
Their design was very kind of classic, goofy 70s aliens.
Yeah, I mean, you could chuck them in Star Wars, no problem. No one would bat an eye. Well, I mean, the modern Star Wars people would be like, "Why isn't this CG?" But
yeah,
the old ones, they'd be like, "Yeah, that looks like something you'd find in the cantina. That makes a whole lot of sense."
Now I want to see the reverse. We gotta throw that new weird little rat that Disney keeps shoving in everyone's throats and says, "You will like this. Trust us. You want a mug." The movie hasn't come out yet, but you want a mug with this thing's face on it. That needs to be in a Cronenberg film. And then
What is this?
We'll come full circle. Have you heard of this thing? It's like a pogoid or a puga.
Yeah, it's basically something to sell toys to the kids.
It's a new Star Wars creature from the new movie. Everybody, a porg. It's called a porg.
It's just something that they can make a stuffed animal out of.
Exactly. This is the Star Wars equivalent of just throwing in a talking animal character into the Princess movie, so we have a stuffed animal later.
I'd love to see a Cronenberg film.
It was a snowman, you asshole. How dare you?
Oh, my first result.
You gotta credit Childish Gambino here, because while you were talking about typewriter rape, he made the pun, I guess he was just his type. I thought it was pretty good.
I don't agree with that. I don't condone that sort of punnery.
Oh boy. Yeah, my first result in looking what porgs are, because I've never heard of this, was Star Wars. Somebody in Congress wants the world to know that porgs are dope. Well,
dope as in good or dope as in bad?
Or is it real?
I'm assuming good. I'm not sure though.
I can't imagine a congressman going, "Yeah, brah, dope." If that's lit.
Oh, yeah, I don't.
I'm a 60-year-old man.
Well versed in the younger generation.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Sup, fam. That rat is lit.
Yeah.
100% crying emoji face.
Oh.
That's way too accurate. I had somebody at my work the other day trying to show me millennial pun names for movies and media, and it was all bullshit like that. It just made me want to die.
I'm really trying to imagine an example of that. like what is it? Like you take it and it becomes lit? I don't know. Or
that's probably better than what I read. I had to divert my eyes. It was did I mention it was a BuzzFeed article?
Oh God! Oh
yeah, it wasn't just any listing article of millennial. Yeah, of millennial phrasings for pop culture things. It was a BuzzFeed list article.
We have had the emoji movie though.
Yeah, we have come full circle. Yeah,
It's
it
true.
is now officially a thing.
That film made like 20 million on its opening day.
Oh, sure. Yeah, I think it made them a lot of money. It got everybody ragged on it, but they still made like a ton. So they laughed all the way to the bank, as it goes.
Wait, which movie?
The Emoji Movie.
Ew, what?
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Made money. It came out like there was nothing, there's no family films coming out around the same time. So I think it already kind of filled the niche of just like, go take your kids to shut up for 2 hours.
Do the kids even like emojis? Like emojis must be like old news by now, right? Like they're what the old men do on the internet. They send each other emojis. I can imagine my grandparents sending emojis if they weren't all dead.
The skeleton card game. All right. That's great. Speaking of, okay, I actually had a legit question for you about games you make. I don't know if I already asked this.
Go, give it a shot. Really try to upset me.
And it's because we have problems with this all the time when we're making our game, okay? And it's random. I noticed that in your games, you have an enormous amount of proc gen or random chance stuff that comes at you. And it seems it's a good way to make, Nick was bringing this up, it's a good way to get variety on the cheap. But we bump into a lot of problems where random allows for situations that are just awful to happen if you really leave it up to random chance. So do you go in, have you changed anything about your random implementation, or have you, or do you let it run wild and just let whatever happens happen?
The way I usually deal with it is that I'll start off with it just being chaos, and as development goes on, I just rein it in as I think is necessary. So like I'll rein it in, or I'll make it so only certain things can spawn or instantiate at certain times. And it's like in the Nothing, there's an element of proc gen in that, but not really as much as you might think. It's just that there are set positions in set rooms that certain things are able to spawn in. So there's an element of control there, and I think that because I was writing a design doc for someone the other day, and I just when it came down to proc gen, with which in this project is absolutely minor. It's it's basically non-existent. I sort of described it as being on a sliding scale. So like on one end there's like it's completely static and nothing ever changes, and on the other end is complete chaos. So that's the way I tend to think of things, in being somewhere in the middle, maybe between order and chaos.
That's fair enough. Yeah.
We've got something going on in the background here. Is it
that was
Kane? Phantom of the Opera.
Yes, we sometimes put public domain films on in the background just so that there's weird shit going on in the background. Not as long as it's not the film made by the KKK. We're good.
Yeah.
So
decent agenda to have, I think.
We're strict on that policy.
Yes. Yes, I can see why.
Key to our success.
Have you seen the theatre production of Phantom of the Opera?
No, I have not. I've not seen it.
It's really good.
Really,
like, I heard it. Someone dragged me along to it once, and I thought I was going to hate it because I'm a big, strong, manly man, and I don't go and see things like musicals. This is an affront to my manhood. But no, I loved it. I was enraptured by it. It was excellent. I was really surprised.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of really good things. I'd love to see it on Broadway or something.
It's really good. I definitely, go to see it. It's really good.
So you're not a big Little Shop of Horrors fan?
Oh, I love Little Shop of Horrors.
Okay. I knew it. See, every horror fan, they truly love it inside. They don't want it.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that film. I was shocked that it was a musical, but I got over it pretty quickly.
It was. Did you know it was based on a film that, because it was filmed, it was like the original Little Shop of Horrors movie was like a black and white movie.
Yeah,
and it was filmed as a side project to the main project because they had one extra day in the set, and they figured if they have one extra day in the set, they might as well make another movie. And so they just wrote this little tiny script that would allow them to film another whole movie with this one day they had left on set.
That's brilliant.
And unfortunately, the movie that they were actually making didn't do very well, but Little Shop of Horrors did very well. But because it was this little side project, they never registered like a copyright for it or whatever you call it. And so all of the success that followed, they saw none of that. All of the musical spin-off, all that jazz, they didn't see any of that. Luckily, it was Roger Corman, so I mean, like, he wasn't exactly hurting from that. But I don't know, it's an interesting little story about that.
Yeah, it reminds me of the story of Tetris.
Is that
Yeah.
similar?
Yeah, like the guy, because the guy made it in the Soviet Union, he didn't see any money from it for decades.
Oh my god!
But
It's
he did. I think he
depressing.
got his money's worth in the end. But yeah, really, really hard to be the inventor of one of the greatest games of all time and never see a penny from it.
No kidding. God.
Now, I don't know the story, but I'm going to assume he was paid strictly in oddly shaped bricks.
Well, no, because in the Soviet Union at the time, because he was a computer scientist, and so he was just employed by the state, and anything that he made during his employment with the state was just that belonged to the state.
Yep.
And that was it. He did. I think he got his just reward in the end, though, so it's not so bad.
Was it bricks?
I think they might have given him money,
Well, $10.
Especially after the Soviet Union.
Okay.
Here's a
I
really
have a lot of animals. Let's not worry about that.
What I would love to know is, what is your opinion on the Brendan Fraser mummy films?
Well, do you want to hear something shocking? Something appalling?
Okay.
I've never seen any of them.
Oh
no!
Damn you!
Yeah,
Nick's devastated.
Well, yeah, I don't know. I just like. I remember them being advertised, and I remember thinking, do I want to go and see a film about a mummy? Not really. And that was about the end of it, really.
And then the sequels came out, and you're like, I didn't see the first, so why would I see this?
I didn't see the first one, so. I don't know. I just felt like an incredible wave of antipathy when they said, "Come see this movie about a scary mummy," and it's really gross, and I was like, I didn't see The Mummy with Tom Cruise either.
Wow.
I never saw it either.
I still want to see it. I heard it was just awful.
Just garbage.
Yeah. Just literal garbage made to be translated to other languages. So it's written in ultra expository form. Every line of dialogue is tell, don't show. That sounds great.
It's funny though, because I really think the quality of some of Tom, I nearly called him Tom Jones. Tom Cruise's projects recently has been a lot better than it was, say, in the early 2000s. I think he's done some good stuff recently.
I feel like I interchange him,
What's he doing now?
Matt Damon, and Brad Pitt, and just they're all kind of one big, like, that handsome actor who's in things.
Mm-hmm.
And
you think Matt Damon is handsome?
I
think he looks like a bit of putty that's been left in the sun. He looks a bit like Beavis from Beavis and Butthead, actually, now I think of it. He's got that same sort of shaped head.
It's kind of
like a
potato.
toad.
He's a little bit like a character you might make in Oblivion. Like that's he looks.
I wouldn't go that far. I think that's pushing it beyond the pale. I think. God, have you seen
Well, he's a handsome character in Oblivion, right? By Oblivion standards, he's handsome. He's a little potato face.
Oh dear, I don't think we need to say anything we can't take back.
Hey, sounds like me.
Wow.
Oh.
But yeah, no, I just don't like Matt Damon that much. I think
that's fair. Well, that's the thing. I guess when you said like Tom Cruise has been in better things recently than before, I just can't remember what he was in before. Like he was.
Well,
he was in like, War of the Worlds.
Oh God, that was awful. Oh, I saw that in cinema.
Oh yeah, nah, I did too.
Oh God, it was fucking terrible. Oh, dreadful.
I liked it. We were pretty young when we saw it in the theater, so.
Yes.
Oh God, that film, Jesus, rough.
We should rewatch it then. That sounds great.
I haven't seen it in a long while.
Especially when you considered like was it the original that got colorized? That was a really good film. It was super good.
War of the Worlds, like
yeah.
I mean, that's one of those movies they remade so many times. But which one are you thinking of? Like the original, like the 50s?
I think the one that I think it must have been 50s because I think it was colorized, i.e. it was in it black and white, and then they put it through the colorization process.
The one with the green. The aliens were the green one. They're not green aliens, but I mean like they were the little tripods had like a green thing to them. That's all I know about it.
Yeah, like the colors were really vivid because of the colorization process.
I never seen that one.
Really
I'll admit that the Tom Cruise War of the Worlds was my first exposure to that story, and same with Brendan Fraser's The Mummy. And those two films have a lot in common now that I think about it. That might be why. I'll let you know. I'm a big fan of The Mummy. This is another thing that unfortunately took up an entire stream.
On purpose.
On purpose. As I have 100 reasons why that movie is good.
He's not the best, just is good.
It's good.
Is good.
Okay.
But
it was an exhausting spree.
It was serious. We went through like 2 coffees each, and it was nowhere near enough by the end.
There's something about sort of bland action being inserted into horror with vaguely charismatic actors as the leads that I can't get enough of, except for the new Tom Cruise Mummy, because he doesn't look like he's being charismatic. He looks like he's being a dullard. That Tom.
Well, he just needs to show up nowadays, I guess. He doesn't really need to put the effort in.
That's true.
He hasn't got directors like Stanley Kubrick around to kick his ass anymore. But there's more's the pity, I think.
That's the other thing he was in. I haven't seen that. Are you talking about
Eyes Wide Shut? Yeah, that's a good film. I like that film. I like films a lot. In case it's not obvious, I'm sort of talking about them.
Oh sure, no, actually, bringing it back to that though. What I do? Okay,
sure.
Serious question though.
Right. Yes, I'll put my big boy trousers on.
What?
Now we're ready.
Yes.
No, on that topic.
Pulling them up.
What are some of your top film, game, life, whatever inspirations that kind of you feel like
that's a meaty one, that is. I mean, I'm a big film fan and I'm a big music fan. I'm just sort of looking over my DVD collection. I mean, like Evil Dead is obviously like a massive influence on me. I love those films so much. They're masterpieces. They are, I can't give them enough credit. Dune, I'm a massive fan of Dune. I love it.
Okay.
Also because I share the same name, well, not the full same name, but the first name of the hero in it. So that's got a resonance with me. well, Paul will suffice. But
I just wanted to get it wrong.
also, hugely underrated film. The Last Boy Scout. You ever seen that?
The Last Voice Came?
No.
It's amazing. It's brilliant. It's one of the most underrated films at all. It's Bruce Willis before he went shit, and it's just one of the funniest action films you'll ever watch. It's so good. If you like that sort of two characters playing off each other and saying one-liners, and there's a overly fiendish bad guy who's just constantly chewing the scenery. It's a masterpiece. It's so good, and so few people have seen it.
That sounds great.
That does sound good.
It is so good. There's a bit in it where the bad guy gets pulled over by the police, and he winds his window down, and the policeman says, "Can I help you?" And he says, "Yes, officer, I rather think you can. It turns out there's too many bullets in this gun." And he just shoots him for no reason other than he's evil. It's so good.
That sounds great.
It is brilliant. It's such a good film, and no one's seen it. And it's just that archetypical Bruce Willis action film. It's so good.
And what was that one called again? That one. That's
The Last Boy Scout.
Huh.
Oh, The Last Boy Scout. Okay. Yeah. That's so funny. I actually thought the same thing about rewatching the movie 300, because it was just unironically liked when it came out, and it was super shallow. So I rewatched it recently, and it was a scream. It was so funny.
Yeah.
Everything is a one-liner. This Leonidas character can't communicate anything.
Well, they're very that's how they speak.
People won't understand him because he can't say anything that isn't a one-liner. And he's trying to lead this army. It's a miracle they get anywhere in this movie. Well, I loved it.
It's funny because the Spartans really were taught to speak very laconically, like genuinely one-liners.
Really?
Yeah, I learned that in college. I took a class on the Romans, and that ended up being part of it. But yeah,
I've learned something today. Gosh, I wasn't expecting that.
It, Ryan. You should have got me on it.
I did.
You freaking cutie.
I stole much of it.
But I think that's something missing from modern cinema. Quotable lines. Like you think about films like Commando, or I don't know. Well, anything with Arnold Schwarzenegger in it. Predator. I could quote that entire film. It's so good. The writing is so clipped and concise, and it's just there to do a job. And it's just, I love that, and it's just so quotable. And I used to spend hours with my friends just reciting that film from memory. It was pointless to watch it at that point because we both knew it so well. Just constantly watching it every day for a week or something stupid like that.
Oh my god, that's great.
Another film we used to do that with. Actually, here's one from the Crypts. What's the fucking film called? Tremors.
Oh yeah.
That is a film that we genuinely used to watch every day, and we just there was no point in watching it at the end. To be honest with you, we just knew exactly what every line was going to be. But
yeah, that one is really great.
That one's good.
You know what one is? You know what movie's pretty similar to that? That surprisingly was pretty good. I watched Maximum Overdrive, the one movie that Stephen King directed.
Oh, I've not seen that, but I have heard of it. I heard it was fucking god awful.
That's the thing. Everybody said it was god awful, but there's like this. There's almost like an assumption that it was supposed to be scary. And watching it, it seems clear that he was kind of going for something like a Tremors, like a kind of a lighthearted monsters are attacking, town gets together, and you know what I mean. Like it's a simpler movie than that, and it actually kind of works. Like, it's a movie about killer trucks instead of killer tremors or whatever they were called, graboids.
They're called graboids. Yes.
Yeah, the graboids. No graboids, but we have trucks instead. But it's almost the same type premise, but with an AC/DC soundtrack to back the entire movie.
That's not a good choice for an action horror.
Yeah.
I mean, I like
kind of fun.
AC/DC. Don't get me wrong. But
Oh, sure.
I wouldn't put them on my film soundtrack. I don't think.
You wouldn't,
Unless it was.
You wouldn't want the Nothing to be entirely set to AC/DC.
Oh God! although now that you've mentioned the soundtrack, I have to give big props to my friend David Pye, who did all the music for the Nothing. Incredibly talented, like really appreciative of it. Although he'll never hear this and he'll never see it, but I'll say thank you, David, to him anyway, because he's a top dude.
Nice.
Awesome.
Nice.
But don't say it to him directly. Make sure it goes through other channels, and then see which one sticks and actually reaches him.
Oh, I've already told him that I think he's a top guy.
You've blown the surprise.
Too late.
Well, I have to. As I said, I have to say what I think. I think this is one of my big character flaws. I think that I have to say the things I think out loud, otherwise they won't be real.
That's fair. That's fair policy. It won't be real. That feels like a Descartes, or not Descartes. What the hell is that guy's name?
Yeah, Descartes.
Descartes. I must speak. Well, he didn't say it, but it's a very Descartes. Let's extremely paraphrase him.
sort of losing me a bit with this analogy, I've got to admit.
It's like I gotta speak truth or I'm not real. That's what he said.
Yeah,
Descartes.
Right.
He's like, don't put Descartes before the horse. Right? That was him. It was all about carts and horses. He was a big cart and horse guy. Hey, so I got a question from the stream. Nick, did the dev wife pester you about my suggestion? I don't know what it is.
I'm guessing it was the flapping pigeon wings. I forgot to respond to her about that even. Probably still no.
Sorry, Pigeon Man.
Probably not. Sorry. No flapping pigeon. We're not going to animate the pigeon wings just for you. I'm sorry.
Wait, you could chuck a couple of frames in there, surely. How hard could it possibly be?
Yeah.
You could just flip the texture or the sprite. Just flip it on the horizontal.
Yeah, just constantly. Flip the Y scale on it. So just
Yes.
Or you could go really low tech and just have it lerp in a circle to spin around.
No lerping. Just instantly up.
It's got to be as fast as fly wings.
Yes.
It'll make the same noise too, because it'll make a very pleasant experience to be a pigeon that goes. Bzzz.
I mean, what you've got to do is you've got to get a really long sound file, and then you've got to play it every 10th of a second. As it goes round, and I think that'll create a really nice experience for the player, or the user.
I think you're right on this.
Okay, you're gonna love this. We have actually done stuff that is way too similar to that. Like when we did our April Fool's Day thing, a lot of folks early on had mentioned that our submarine is yellow in our game. They're making some Beatles references. Mm-hmm. And Nick, on April Fool's, pushes an update that is full of the Beatles, which are all... What are they? They're not scarabs.
No, they were just some species of beetle I found online.
Cicadas. Yeah. Yeah, so he fills the game with nasty beetles, and he gives them like a buzzing sound file that is outlandishly loud. And all of the beetles are spawned simultaneously and play the sound on awake. So the sound effect is in phase with every single beetle. And of course, nothing's gonna add, right? It's all additive. It was monumentally loud. We had people streaming our game who were like, "How do you turn down the Beatles? You can't even."
That's part of game development, though, isn't it? I mean, that sort of stuff does happen constantly, especially with new changes.
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
well, it's not trial and error; it's trial and success.
Yeah.
Oh boy, was that same buzzing noise that I got for Nick from that super scary looking beetle?
Yes.
That looked like it could have like eaten a hamburger.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, that was that one. Yeah, you made the sound effect from a YouTube video of a beetle flying.
Oh.
That was huge.
Ew.
Yeah, it was a scary looking beetle. You had to like
That's
hold it by
right.
the tip of its like stabby thing. Oh man.
And we derived just using, like empiricism and logic that a scarab is a scary beetle, right? Because it's a scarab bug, scarab beetle, and if you just distill it down, that's actually how the word was derived.
That must be.
We learned that just de novo, working through the facts we were given.
Yeah.
Oh.
We're very smart.
Everything can be derived that way.
So
Yeah,
going back
that's
to
how
the
we
original
vote
point.
elections.
Going back to the original point, then, so the submarine is yellow, though.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, there is a sort of fairly obvious connection that will be made in people's minds there. So, is there a reason behind that? I'm turning the tables. I'm asking you.
Oh,
tough
sure.
questions now.
Yeah.
Bam. So, why was it yellow? Then, in that case?
It's yellow because basically we were going kind of for Verney submarines, and the first asset I churned out was meant to look brass, but was a little too light. It was on the cartoonier side of brass, and the cartoony side of brass just kind of looks yellow. And once people started saying, "Hey, we're in a yellow submarine," haha, we were like, "Well, we're not gonna tell you no." I mean, if Markiplier, you're gonna go make a Beatles reference, you go right ahead, buddy.
We'll change it to blue silver.
Yeah, we'll change it just to avoid coverage.
Oh, I mean, like you do that now, and everyone's the user base is going to go out of control. They're going to revolt. You can't do something like change the color of the main character, or not the main character, but the main vehicle, I guess, without expecting some sort of backlash.
Oh, for sure.
Show them.
Well, it also just so happens to be a good complementary color to like the environments in the game, since underwater everything's kind of cool colored. So yeah, this really bright, warm color submarine, it kind of works.
That makes sense.
But here's my question for you about just in general the horror space in indie land, or not even in indie land, just in the horror games in general right now.
Yeah.
To me, feel a little lackluster, and I don't know if you agree with that sentiment or disagree. But what do you think of the current market of horror right now?
I think that this year, with the release of Resident Evil 7, I think that's really, I think that's kicked the shit out of every other horror game released this year.
Yeah, for sure.
I think that Resi 7. It wasn't quite, PT, but I feel like it was close enough where it filled a bit of a void with that. Because I think everyone was looking forward to PT. Everyone was absolutely stunned by its release, the teaser certainly, and everyone was like super hyped. Like the hype behind PT was like nothing I've ever seen before, and everyone was crushed, and including myself. And I don't even own a console. I was because PT the full release. Well, I mean, like Silent Hills, as was,
right.
Of what PT was a teaser for, like that game was enough to make me want to go out and buy a console. It looked fantastic, and I think that left a big hole in the marketplace when that was dissolved by Konami. So Resident Evil 7 came out this year, I think, and it really sort of kicked the shit out of everything else in the horror market. in no uncertain terms. But apart from that, like I see things like Outlast, which I've never been a big fan of. I don't really appreciate it in the space that it is. It just seems mean spirited. It seems like a Saw movie to me.
Okay, I can see that.
An interactive Saw movie. It's mean spirited and more about torture porn than anything else, and being shocking. Soma, I think, was a really impressive release recently, last couple of years. That was an incredibly thought-provoking horror game, I think.
Which one?
But Soma. So yeah, that was a big highlight, I think, in the horror space. But apart from that, I think there's people doing interesting thing in the horror space. I think it's just that it's such a massively popular genre that things get diluted really quickly in it, unfortunately.
Yeah, like PT kind of, it was not really PT's fault for this, but it probably didn't help, which was the dominant horror game that you will find on Steam right now is Walkabout, a spooky house game. Like that's it. First person,
especially
walk in a
with
spooky
loops
place
as well.
With,
like PT kicked off a genre of PT clones, especially within the indie space.
I suppose so maybe that is what the tail they're all chasing. I always figured it kind of came from that Slender era, but I guess that kind of had a different set of...
I mean, there definitely is that as well. I mean, that's massive, that subgenre. But yeah, I mean, like there's loads and loads of PT clones out there in such a short release of time, and I think it really it captured the zeitgeist, I guess, of the industry. But unfortunately, the only man who was ever going to make it is now doing something different, unfortunately, which is very, very distressing.
That's right. Wasn't it going to be Guillermo del Toro, or are you talking about? You're talking about. It was Guillermo del Toro with
Kojima.
Yeah, the Metal Gear Solid guy. That's what it was.
Holy shit!
Forgot about that.
Yeah,
and then also the Walking Dead actor.
But they've turned it into Death Stranding, which I don't know if I'm as interested in. Doesn't look particularly interesting to me.
It doesn't look like a horror game. It just looks weird.
I think it's gonna be weird. I think it's gonna be fucking really out there, to be honest with you, and I'm not sure I'm quite ready for it. Not that it's gonna get released on PC anyway, so I don't know why I'd even worry about it. But
right.
But yeah, like the whole babies in jars thing, and like sucking the juice out of the babies or something. And I'm like, just don't know how invested I am in that story, really.
Yeah, the story they
have typewriters that have sex with each other.
Well, yeah, there's an engaging topic. Talk about that for that. No, I don't know. I mean, like I've obviously seen the trailer, but I was just left a bit cold by it. I think it's just because it wasn't PT. I think, honestly.
That's fair. Yeah.
Give us PT or give us death.
Well, I guess, and that's what Resident Evil 7 was trying to capitalize on, right? It was trying to capture some of that.
I can't think it was unrelated. I really can't.
Yeah, because it was very convenient timing for them to go first person right after everything else.
I think it was a smart move as well. I think that it's a hugely impressive game. I think they really set the watermark high for these sort of things on that.
That's fair.
It was awesome. It was a good game.
What do you think about the fact that combat is being like almost completely removed from most horror games now? I guess Resident Evil 7 is an exception, but like with things like Outlast, with things like what PT was looking to be, there is a major de-emphasization on combat, and that's fine because like for a long time that was all it was. But it feels like there's something to be lost when you can't when you don't know that you could have overcome something. Like, you know what I mean? Like the limited resource thing that survival horror was founded upon in the beginning. There was something there. It just kind of got abandoned.
I think that there is a overarching feeling in these sort of spaces that combat can be detrimental to a frightening environment. I don't agree personally. Like, to use a personal analogy, like when I first released some of the alphas for Illuminasci, I had a lot of people thinking, well, telling me that it was a frightening game to play, and I'm like, this game has not been designed with horror in mind in any sense of it at all. It's just purely a shooter, but like people were getting frightened of it, and I think it was because the enemies like made ambient noises and this sort of thing as they were creeping about, and they didn't necessarily actively search for the player. They sort of wandered about on their own, so there was a high chance of sort of banging into them. I had a lot of people telling me that was quite a frightening experience. So I don't think it's necessarily anything to do with either having combat or not having combat. I think it's really just the atmosphere that you set up, and having environments where things are not easily anticipated by the player. So, I think that horror is uniquely placed to have visceral combat in it, and if you can have kind of combat that makes players feel a bit queasy watching it, even if you're the one who's doing the damage, I think that's hugely valuable in the horror space. So, I'd always be keen to put combat in some capacity at any rate.
Oh, sure. Well, I mean, yeah, your games definitely obviously have it, right? I mean, I guess Dead End Road probably... Well, you can run people over in it. I guess that works. That's a form of combat.
I mean, like there
isn't
any combat in Dead End Road, but at the end of the day, that game was more about you being pursued by this unstoppable evil force. There's really no point to fighting back at it.
Yeah, a whole different just kind of thing with that.
Yeah, you're purely escaping, and you can run.
But it still managed to break out of the hide and seek formula, which I liked. I like that. Yeah, you found a new way to do a non-combat thing. Like, I mean, like, another famous examples. Five Nights at Freddy's, no combat in any of those games, but there's like some vague ways to protect yourself. They do it in a different way. You're not hiding. You're just... Well, I guess that's some of the newer ones you hide. I don't know. I haven't kept up. We played the first one before it got super... before they started selling toys at Toys R Us or whatever, I guess. Yeah. Before it became like the new Goosebumps.
And unfortunately, that's where the money is. Like merchandising always makes more than the original sales of the games.
That's true. I definitely doubt that he designed it for that purpose. I think that was definitely just a very strange explosion.
Well, I heard that he was going to release Five Nights at Freddy's, and then he was going to give up on games.
It was his last attempt.
Yeah.
Then it blew up, and he just made more because why not? Yeah.
It's become a force of nature. It's I think like the IP has got away from him in some terms. I think it now more strongly belongs to the internet than anything else.
That's probably true. Yeah.
Yeah.
It belongs to the furries now.
I was gonna bring it up.
I'd say it belongs to the 12-year-olds more strongly.
Oh, sure. It's actually very strange to me that of all games, the whole, there's lots of different fandoms out there and stuff, but of all the ones to cling on to any kind of sexual thing, that one, animatronic Chuck E. Cheese things. Nobody was the internet super crazy about Chuck E. Cheese? The original, the OG. How much Chuck E. Cheese furry porn is there out there? Let me go research.
I think in a genuine way, I think that it captured people's imaginations with some very strong characterizations.
That's fair.
And I do give him kudos on the character design. I think that that's probably the strongest part of the game, if I'm brutally honest.
Oh, man. You kept it simple, right? Every character has one solid color that is their thing. They have a couple of little basic features that they look like they're very accurate, right? The little Chuck E. Cheese animatronics. I think you just picked a perfect setting for a horror game. Like it's that setting that you like slap your face. Think like everybody should have thought of that before, but no one did.
Yeah.
That's, you know what I mean? Like it's so perfect for a horror setting. Like
tell you what, I've been thinking about. I've been thinking that recently. Basically, I wish I'd invented that. Was that new game by the guy who made QWOP, which is called Getting Over It.
I haven't heard of it. What is Getting Over It?
So it's a game where you play a guy who's in a cauldron and he can only move around by swinging a hammer about. And I'm totally in love with the movement mechanics in it. Every day, I or whenever I see footage of that game, I think, I wish I could have invented that mechanic. I wish I just want to steal it. I want to run away with it and make a million clones of it.
That's so funny. Wow, what a weird thing. I thought you were going somewhere with a concept so obvious you should have thought of it. But I don't think a cauldron, sitting in a cauldron,
swinging a hammer,
Yeah,
but the movement, I'm just totally in love with this brand new type of movement. I love it.
Propelled by one, basically one appendage. That's so weird. This is almost like a one-leg version of that old Edmund McMillan Flash game about the spider.
Oh,
That's almost what this kind of reminds me of. Did you ever play that? It was like Triacnoid.
Yeah.
Where you just have to move these three legs on the spider to move around, and something about like you had to do similar things that I'm seeing you have to do here, where you had to kind of propel yourself via like one of your limbs and swing over things. But that's so entertaining to watch. Anyway.
Childish Rambino, can I ask you a question?
Is he asking me? Is he asking you? I don't know.
I'm assuming he's asking you.
Yep. Literally, that's all I got.
Illuma asked you.
What is your greatest desire when being a game dev? I want to make good games. Simple as that.
No.
Very reasonable.
No.
I think
wanted to argue.
I mean, no. Hit me with your best shot.
I think to make good games, that's what we all want to think is the goal. But I think the real goal is we all want to make games and not starve.
That's a good goal.
I think
that's pretty solid.
I think those two go hand in. Those are because you can't do one without the other.
Well, I mean, like I think I'd hope that one hand washes the other in that scenario. But no, I want to make things that people engage with and people like, and that I haven't just flatly copied from another country. That's one of the things I live for is people saying, "Hey, I like this game," and I think, wow, that's great.
That's fair.
Well, I sound slightly deadpan when I say that, but someone turning up and just saying, "Hey, I really liked X," it's like brilliant. That gives me a reason to carry on, really, because I could probably make more working in McDonald's, but I don't.
That's true. Well, I guess the not starve bit just means you want to be able to make the games and and be able to afford making them, right? By making them.
I mean, like even if I have to go and get a job, I'll still make games because I like making games, and I think that I'm okay at it. So.
Oh, certainly, yeah. No, I definitely look forward to your future output in general because.
Oh yeah.
What if nothing else? It looks like you put out things that are very varied mechanically. Like
Yeah.
everything is very different. Luminaski looks nothing like the Nothing, which looks nothing like Dead End Road, which looks nothing like Carpe Diem. I guess looks nothing is inaccurate. There is an inherent style here I can detect, but none of them play alike.
No, and I one of my starting goals was that I was never going to make the same game twice. So unfortunately, that means no sequels. But
okay,
that's
if one of these if one of these doesn't like blow up completely out of proportion, you won't.
If I had a game that blew up, I'd sell my company to Microsoft and then just make a new company.
You don't want to deal with that. You want to have your hands full with merchandising deals. You don't.
No. I mean, like, if suddenly my company became worth something, I wouldn't hesitate in selling it. I'd just say, yeah, here you go. Here's all the assets. Here's everything. There you go, and I just go and make another company because that would keep me in money to make more games with.
That's fair, without having to worry about keeping a bigger thing alive, which is, I'm sure, its own headache.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'd actually do that, but that's what I'd like to think that I'd do.
That's fair.
Yeah.
If push comes to shove, I might be a bit more squeamish about it. But if you're listening, Microsoft, call me.
Call me with the big bucks.
Call me, 10K. Sounds good. Just price myself out of the market there.
Yeah.
Okay, let's see.
All right, I'll be right back. I gotta pee.
Okay.
Also, anyone wants me to knock out a dodgy license game? No problem. No scruples. You want me to make a emoji movie tie-in? No problem. Well, we'll do a she match free. No problem.
Oh god, that's real. I bet that exists already, isn't it?
Oh god,
Emoji
absolutely.
movie match 3.
And it's on a mobile platform as well.
Uh-huh.
Oof.
That has to exist because they are already circles. They are already ready to go to be matched.
Totally, absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh, there it is, Pop Frenzy, and they didn't use the emojis. The emojis aren't the things that you're matching.
But the kids, they love emojis, don't they? That's what the kids are like nowadays.
Yeah.
They love emojis and mobile phones and WhatsApp and stuff. Yeah.
This is honestly kind of strange. So yes, the match 3 exists with the emoji movie tie-in, but the little things that you're matching are just generic balls, and the emoji movie characters are just there to cheer you on.
Maybe the licensing was too much for them.
Yeah, it's a little too much.
You can't have the emojis appear more than X number of times, or you have to pay X amount.
Probably. It probably had something. It's probably like one of the reasons, like, do you see that, there's like some Raving Rabbids Mario XCOM type game on the Switch?
I mean, like, that got released, and it was actually fairly well received, I seem to remember, wasn't it?
People seem to like it. But the thing about it is that I guess the licensing carried over into actual, like, licensing agreements carried over into actual mechanics. Like, at some point, there must have been a conversation with the two companies, because there's two IPs, right? There's the Ubisoft's Rabbids and Mario and such, that when selecting characters, people should not be able to select all of one IP.
Really?
So you literally can't select more than 2 Mario characters or more than 2 Rabbids characters.
That's shocking. That is appalling.
But they have mechanical relevance. So if you had a dream team in the game, you're like, hey, I want to use Princess Peach's mechanic with Luigi's mechanic with Mario's mechanic with whoever else, Waluigi or whoever else they got. You can't do it. You just have to. You have to get a rabbit in there.
You see, I always looked at what are they called, wabbits or rabbits or
rabbits with a D. That's their
rabbits.
That's right.
Like, I always looked at them and I thought, well, that's shit. But no, it's like a really strong brand, and I'm like really shocked at that.
I think they kind of capitalized on that minion market before the minion market existed.
I mean, they just look like garbage. They're awful.
My little brother was super into them when I was younger. He was all about them rabbits because they yell in a funny way. They go bah.
I mean, they just.
Oh my god, that's so funny.
I mean, they look like abortions. They're just disgusting.
Oh.
I don't get it. I just don't understand. Maybe I'm just a grumpy old man. I don't know.
I mean, yeah, I think it's just the same as the minions. You know, like the minions are arguably they're a little cuter than the rabbits.
I think the minions definitely look less like abortions. Certainly.
I don't know. The long ones have got that same kind of look to them.
They pulled them too hard with the forceps. They've been spaghettified.
Oh, that's right. The rabbits came from Rayman. I forgot about that.
Which is all the more perplexing why they didn't do a Rayman Mario thing.
Oh God!
That
Who cares about Rayman though?
I like Rayman.
True.
Oh dear! Leave him back in the 90s where he belongs. Digging up that. It's like fucking Bubsy. Leave that fucking cat in its grave. Jesus. That made me so angry. I was tweeting mean things at the Bubsy account just because I was so enraged at their attempts to bring back the shittest video game character ever.
What were you tweeting at them?
I never do that. I never ever do that. But I was so enraged by it. I was like, I have to insult this fictional character on Twitter.
Taking action.
Just gotta let them know how I feel.
Yeah.
Bubsy is shit. Come at me, Bubsy developers. Let's have a fucking artistic integrity off through interpreted dance. We'll fucking clean your clocks, you fucking sellouts. Look at all this indie cred I've got. You can't compete with this, you fucking suit wearing twats.
Wow. I think
calling them out. I'm calling Bubsy out.
You might have managed to gather up more emotion than this cat ever garnered toward itself in its entire IP lifetime.
I'm gonna have a grudge match with Bubsy in a boxing ring.
Yeah.
Have some rubbery mascot come along, and I'm just gonna fucking clean his clock. just for being so shit. God, I hate
his clock before.
I just hate it. Oh God, I hate it so much.
Bubsy.
It's just a fucking designed by committee bullshit. It's just meaningless.
Yeah, he came out to like cash in on the attitude mascot thing.
Yeah.
Well, he had Toad, right? He had Toad, like the Sonic and the who else? Who else had Toad? Spot. Wasn't there a ball? Wasn't there a
Cool Spot?
Cool Spot.
Cool Spot was from fucking 7-Up. That always blew my mind.
Okay.
Soft drink gets a video game. And
What?
They use a red dot. Yeah, it's true.
Wow.
I was gonna say, it's funny that stuff doesn't happen anymore, but it does. Monster Energy Drink has its own game now too. So
Does it?
Do they?
yeah, they have the official Monster Energy Drink motocross game or something.
Oh, it had to be extreme.
Oh, yeah.
Dear me.
You gotta, yeah, and
Leave that as
if you look at the box art, actually, it's another one of those cases where like you can tell there was some kind of not IP, I guess what is it called, the just content, copyright, whatever bullshit, trademark lawyer standing behind the box artist all day, telling him that he had to make it a certain size and it can't be too far away from this or too close to this, so it's got to be, and it just looks like a mess.
Good.
The bike.
Although, having said that, Monster Energy drink, you want me to knock out a shitty tie-in? Give me a call. A couple of grand, we'll work something out. No problem.
Yeah.
I haven't got much scruples when it comes to people giving me money, but
Oh God, that's great.
Monsanto, hey, let's do something to improve your PR.
Yeah. Oh man,
PR suffering a bit at the moment with the conspiracy theorists. Let's chuck a couple of grand my way, and we'll sort out with a nice, bright, colourful. I don't know what, like a Plants vs Zombies ripoff. Yeah, there we go. That'll do.
That'll be fine.
Yeah. Oh my God, that's a great idea. Holy shit, you've actually come up with a genuine good idea here. Make a Monsanto game where you're the person making the GMOs, and now it's your fault they exist, and you have to love them. This is actually such a good idea. You've just found the way forward for them to get through all their woes.
You see how valuable I am, Monsanto. Take me on full time on your staff. We can do some remote working. I can come up with these ideas all day. It's easy.
I think they'll see the art style in your games, and they'll be done.
Maybe we don't want a game that's covered in blood. I'll be like, come on, guys. It doesn't have to be covered in blood. That's just what I do when I'm on my own time. If you want me to make it fluffy and light, I can do that. I've got technical depth for this sort of thing. I can bang out some nice bunnies or something. Probably. I don't know. Probably. How hard could it be? I just get some clip art off. Clipart.org.
Just tween it.
Just chuck them in bunny. There you go. I mean, they're a big pharmaceutical or whatever you call them, or science-based shit. I don't know. They're not going to know a good game from a bad game. I turn up with anything. I turn up with fucking Pong, and they'll be like, "Ooh, this is new." Probably stuffed to the gill with boomers. They've never played a game in their life. Whatever I turn up with, they're going to be like, "Ooh, wow!" In fact, actually, and I realise I'm monopolising a bit here, but I was talking to this guy who does interactive experiences for companies like this.
Okay.
Good.
And for Ecuador, so this is the Marlborough branch of Ecuador. They can still do like tie-in stuff for interact. It's not like banned like it is in the UK. Certainly, I don't know what cigarette advertising is like in the States.
Similar,
Yeah.
Yeah, so like you can't do like point of sale advertising and this sort of thing. But in Ecuador, it's like you want to put adverts on TV for cigarettes. That no problem. We can do that. So and they do like interactive experiences. And he showed me some footage of this game where it's like there's a VR thing, and you're walking on a tightrope, and everything around you is branded with Marlboro stuff. and I shit you not, the target, the end of the tightrope is a massive box of cigarettes, and as you get to the end, the box opens and a cigarette comes out of it. But that's the reward.
Your
at the
reward.
End of the game.
Get a big cig in your mouth.
Like, this is completely morally bankrupt. I love it. Incredible.
See,
That's marvelous.
I don't think we should let this hold us back. I don't think we should let brands paying us hold us back from making a morally bankrupt game. You can make your own fake cigarette brand and move right on forward. The door is wide open. What do you want to do? You want GMOs, you want cigarettes, you want pharmaceutical companies in your game, you just make them up, throw them in there, advertise positively for them, ship it.
You know, I do have to jump in here, and I do have to say that I think that GMOs have got a bad rep, and I don't actually think there's anything inherently wrong with GMOs.
Oh, I agree. Yeah.
It's like I learned something really interesting the other day. You know, grapefruit,
Mm-hmm.
and you know how they have that distinctive red interior.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Okay.
Do you know how it got that red interior?
Is it it's artificial or whatever you call it? Yeah. Is
In
it,
the 50s, yeah,
Uh-huh.
what they would do is they'd get a load of arable land, and they plant sections of seeds in it, and they bombard it with radiation.
Oh, really?
They'd
oh,
wait until they got favourable mutations
okay.
from
Yes. This is totally a thing.
the whatever they were bombarding it with, and that is where grapefruit gets its distinctive red colour. It's a radioactive mutation.
That's interesting.
A mutation induced by radiation. It's not like there's any, radiation.
No, exactly.
It's not heritable.
No, exactly. But it's exactly the same sort of concept as GMOs. You know, like there's no inherent risk of eating something that's been genetically modified. As I'd say, it's like dogs. You know, dogs
Yeah.
are genetically modified via breeding. You know,
Yeah.
Oh,
you don't
yeah.
get a pug. You don't get a pug in the wild, and a good thing as well, I'd say.
Yeah, artificial selection on that. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So, anyway,
Oh,
sorry.
certainly. Oh, yeah. No.
I got a chip on my shoulder about that.
Yeah.
Oh, that's all good. Jordan, you used to work for not a full-on. Which company you worked on that you talked about GMOs a lot at some point? I feel like you worked at
It's just something we had to go through a lot in the biotech degree. But
Okay.
I don't know. Yeah, I make genetically modified stuff day in and day out. We have like this. How you do research now? You got to knock stuff in. Like people are using CRISPR like it's candy.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's very normal.
I mean, I think it's just because people don't understand it; they're distrustful of it.
Okay, you know what? I do want to give a little credit to the other side because I have seen how this is done, and I've seen how it's tested, and I agree that it's very safe. But I read this really, really cleverly done paper a couple years back.
Mhm.
There was an institute in India that was set up, and it was very legit. Seemingly well funded, and their goal was to make a potato that was more nutritionally complete. So what they wanted to do was make a potato that could produce all the amino acids that you actually need.
Mhm.
Have it be less empty calories and be a little more, as I said, nutritionally complete.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
they take potatoes and they throw in this gene from an ancient grain, amaranth. So they throw in AMA1.
Mhm.
And it's a complete protein, as they call it. It has all the amino acids in it. My thought was that if they throw this gene in here, it's going to express the gene.
Mhm.
You're going to eat the protein resultant. It doesn't even matter what it does. Like, it's not harmful.
Mhm.
And you will just have that protein in you, and you have all the amino acids. Great. That's not what happened. They threw the gene in there, and it scrambled the proteome of the potato. The amino acid balance of the potato's output was completely skewed in a way that they never could have predicted. This time it turned out good. It was astonishingly healthier than they had anticipated or even aimed for. But they had no idea why. It fucked with things good.
Mhm.
Yeah, sure.
So
Yeah, but I mean, like
There's
this
definitely
is
knowledge
years against that potato ever appering on someone's plate as well. I think is another point to
Absolutely,
stress.
yeah.
Like
they called it
there's
the
no
potato.
danger.
I loved it.
But that's also great, because like potatoes are really easy to grow, and they grow really quickly. So that's like really good for like certainly developing nations and this sort of thing.
Yeah, that was the plan. I wonder if they ever came through with that. I haven't kept up on it.
Mhm.
I don't know. It was a long
The
time.
evil pharmaceuticals probably blocked it because it would solve world hunger, and then they wouldn't be able to make so much money anymore. Probably is what a lunatic on the internet would say.
I know Monsanto will come after you if you use any of their. There's some like I think it's flanking sites that they have for introducing new mutations.
I happen to know a little bit about that.
Yeah, you can. I don't know. Something about patenting their methodology for introducing mutations. You can't do it their way.
I mean, I think the thing about the seeds is really interesting, and them.
Yeah.
But the funny thing is that they have to enforce that because the farmers actually made them do it.
Maybe.
Because the farmers were basically given a choice where they said, well, we can either give you this agreement and you have to but we have to recoup the costs of the R&D. So we can either say that, you can buy these seeds and get the seeds from the plants and then reuse them, but then we have to recoup the costs up front for the R&D, or we can, sell you the seeds every time.
Yeah.
But you can't reuse them. And so the farmers said, well, yes, we want to do that because that's cheaper, but you have to enforce that because we don't want to be following the rules while other farmers can just ignore it with no consequences. So the reason that Monsanto has, and they've sued like maybe 5 or 6, I think, in the time it's been going on. The only reason they've had to do that is because their customers force them to enforce it.
Oh yeah.
Which is not a story that you only hear about them being like. And I'm not like a Monsanto shill. I wish I was.
I know.
I'd like some of that money, to be honest with you. But I'm doing this because I believe that a lot of these things get blown up and then the truth never comes out about it. It's like the you ever hear about the woman who sued McDonald's for the hot coffee?
Yeah.
And that was like a big joke, like, oh, stupid woman.
Yeah,
that got a Seinfeld episode.
Yeah.
But that woman had 3rd-degree burns from
Yeah.
that coffee. And that coffee was heated to stuff it's stupid, like 300 degrees or something. It was absolutely ridiculous.
I actually just barely looked this up.
Really?
Funnily enough.
Yeah. And so, but like the prevailing thing was like, there was like, oh, suing culture, suing is stupid and whatever.
Exactly.
But that was just that, and I sound conspiratorial here, but that was put out by these corporations, that message, to prevent lawsuits against their dangerous practices.
Yeah.
I can see that. Yeah, put the dumb customer spin on it, and then there you go. Yeah, entitled.
It's all PR. It's all PR.
Yeah.
But McDonald's, give me a slice of that cash.
I was waiting for it.
But hey, you want McDonald's ads?
But I'm ready for it. Sell me out. Put me in, coach. I'm ready.
That's what you should put in. Your structure in the nothing is perfect for ad space. Just one of your blank rooms with the posters. Make that poster a McDonald's poster. Taco Bell. Insert your ad here. Pay out.
No problem. It's no problem. And all the technology is already there. I'll probably just drag and drop that sort of functionality nowadays. So give me a ring, McDonald's.
Yeah.
Monsanto. Let's have a Monsanto McDonald's mashup. Let's have a little bit of collaboration between the giant evil corporations. I'm sure we could do something.
It's even thematically appropriate because you're in hell.
Oh my god, that'd be great.
Well, not personally. Not me personally. I don't think
You're in hell. Yeah,
I-
you designed from hell, right? That's where.
there was that time I got hit by a car when I was younger, so maybe I died and I'm just in this like Lynchian nightmare that has never ended. And it's definitely something I think about sometimes.
I think about Lynchian nightmares every time I wake up. That's
Sounds like a fairly miserable experience. It's a fairly miserable existence, I think, probably.
Don't worry.
Just
I
this
mean,
constant
Or talking
nightmare.
in reverse.
There's these fucking like dog babies incessantly squealing everywhere. A woman who lives behind the radiator singing "In Heaven Everything Is Fine." You know, it's not a nice place to be. I imagine.
Oh, still got to see Eraserhead. That looks so good.
It's so good. It's so good. It's one of my favourite films ever. I love that film so much. And I think I really like it because I really think the true answer behind that film is that it's not actually meant to mean anything. But I love it. Love it anyway.
I think that describes more films than people would like to admit. That they actually meant nothing by it. This is meant, like, not all of them, but I think there's a decent amount of films out there that are intended to just be kind of odd.
They're just weird for weird.
Yeah, they're weird for weird. Yeah.
Yeah. I definitely feel Naked Lunch falls under that category.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, no, that one.
And I definitely feel that, Eraserhead is definitely just weird for weirdness sake. I'm sure it is. I don't think there's any deeper meaning behind it.
Oh man. Okay, if you're looking for another one of those movies that's weird for weird's sake, has nothing to say,
Are you gonna say?
goes out of its way to say it has nothing to say, might I recommend Rubber? You will want to turn it off so fast. You will hate every second of it. I remember it was in the dead of night when I was watching this, and my wife was sleeping next to me, and I am telling this movie out loud to shut up. That's how fucking annoying it was.
Do you remember the director at all?
Wait, what?
Do you remember who the director was?
Oh, damn. I'll have to look it up.
It
sounds
one of those
interesting.
movies that is on Netflix all the time.
Hmm.
It's about like a tire with telekinesis and it kills people. Director Quentin Dupieux. I don't know. It's got a French.
Sounds legit.
French name, probably Canadian. Nope, France.
Sounds like a
2010.
pretty good film. Sounds pretty good.
I think I watched like the first 5 minutes of that because it was on Netflix for the longest time, and
Yeah.
I was turned off by the dialogue immediately. Like the moment someone spoke, I was like, "All right, this is just shouting out like indie film trying to be quirky, funny. No, thank you."
Yeah. I'm against the Queen. I'm a rebel.
I know, because I feel like that concept of a tire killing people, a psychic tire rolling around killing people. That's funny enough on its own. You don't need to spell it out. You just play it straight. Like, play it 100% straight as a horror movie, and I guarantee you that becomes a hit, right? Like, that was funny.
I think people would be a lot more attracted to that, but instead, no, it just never shuts its mouth about itself. It's like, wow, did you see that thing that I just showed you?
Oh, you gotta love that.
No, I'm talking about Rubber.
Oh,
You didn't see it, you were asleep. I know. I yell shut up at Twin Peaks a lot.
Jordan.
Why do you yell shut up at Twin Peaks?
Oh my God.
The melodrama?
Why would I not yell shut up at Twin Peaks? I love Twin Peaks. My wife and I are trying to watch it right now.
Uh-huh.
We're on season 2, the one where they gave up. And Nadine? Is the character Nadine, the woman with the eye patch? She's woken up from a coma, and she is now 18 and like dances around and shit like that. Man, if you're here in my house at night, you know, like I feel really bad for our duplex neighbors because my back is against the shared wall, and at random I just go, ooh. And it's that time. That's when it's happening.
Oh God.
I find myself just like my hands are on my head and I'm going, what? Like did you see the first season of American Horror Story?
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
Oh my
I
God.
thought I really enjoyed that just because every episode I just had my hands on my head and I'm going, what is going on? The bit where they introduced that you could have sex with ghosts. I'm like,
Yes.
well, this is something. And like the ghosts can have babies, but then the babies are ghosts, and I'm like, what is going on? But I really loved it. It's just like it tickled that itch for like shock value, I guess. Well, it wasn't shocking. I'm just like sitting there going, this is blowing my mind, man. I never thought you could have sex with a ghost.
With a gimp ghost, no less.
Yeah.
Somehow.
And like characters are like, ooh, actually, I've been a ghost all along, and you're just sitting there going, fucking hell, what is going to happen next? It was just, I don't know, I just found it a really enjoyable experience. I don't think it was clever.
It's not
I
like
think
it's
it was
not enjoyable to watch these things that maybe even infuriate you, know, at points, but they're so entertaining. They really are.
No, American Horror Story is definitely on the better side of camp, I guess, because it just throws everything at you, and some things stick, some things don't. Sometimes it actually can be horrifying. Sometimes it's incredibly goofy. Like, my wife only watched the third season with me because, which is,
Right.
that sounded good to her, and how many storylines that show likes to just toss aside, like, toilet paper right after it's done. Or not even done. It just tosses it aside all the time. They introduced in the first episode this big, scary minotaur-headed man, right? Created by the racist experiments of a slaver woman.
Yeah.
And he after he fucks someone, because of course he does, because he's a ghost and he's gonna fuck someone. After that happens, he's just gone from the story. Like, there's no tail end to that. He fucks someone and they go, "Ooh, that was spooky," and then we never see him again. I think we see the thing is the head is on her bed, and then ooh, and then we don't worry about it. It's okay. It's fine. You weren't interested in that subplot. I'm sure you were much more interested in all this melodrama we have to offer you. We have lots of teenage melodrama.
Yeah.
Actually, no. I think
can't get enough of it.
Like, let's
everyone misses Saved by the Bell.
That's what actually, that's what I loved about. Have you seen Society, Paul?
I haven't.
Okay, you gotta. If you
unless you're talking about the concept at large.
No.
In which case, I have a passing interest in it.
It's this movie from one of the producers of Reanimator, and then
cool.
He went on to write
That's
Honey, I Shrunk the Kids.
Oh, really? The Reanimator? Really?
Yes. And you can see both of those projects in this movie. If you want to see what the fusion of those two look like, that's the movie to watch. Is Society.
That sounds like a must-watch.
Yeah, Nick's been shilling it for like a week and a half now.
It sounds good.
It was very enjoyable. It is Cronenberg directed Ferris Bueller's Day Off. Is what it is.
Oh, he's starting to lose me with that one. I don't know if I can stomach that, to be honest with you.
The Ferris Bueller shenanigans. That it is a good chunk of the movie, but it all builds up to the craziest batshit ending, ever. It is so weird. It's good. Apparently it was written as a standard mystery plot, and the Reanimator guy came in and said, "Well, I want the ending to be weirder, so we're gonna. I want the town is a cult thing. Let's change that to be something that's much, much stranger. Let's ratchet it up a notch, because apparently this is. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No. I was just saying it sounds brilliant. I'll have to put it on my watch list.
Yeah.
It's on Amazon Prime right now. That's where I watched it. If you have access to that, but it's what was I? Yeah, I can't remember. Anyway, good movie. Good movie with those stipulations.
I tell you what I watched recently, which was god awful, but it was actually one of the most enjoyable films I've ever watched. It was appalling, but it was also good fun. Was The Stuff.
Oh yes, I love The Stuff.
That film. I think that film is no, not quite. It's nearly my favorite bad movie.
It is up there for sure.
My favorite bad movie is Jack Frost, not the one with
not the one with Michael Keaton.
No, not that one. It came out in the 80s. It's about a serial killer who gets reincarnated as a snowman.
Yeah.
I think you fell asleep to that one.
That film is wicked. But then the sequel it looks like a daytime soap opera, and it's fucking awful. But the first one's super good. Kills a woman by fucking her to death with his carrot nose. It's such a good film.
That's right. He melts to get his way under doors and stuff too, right?
Oh, it's just, and he hides like in the back of the truck and stuff by doing that as well. It's just so good. Actually, I don't even think it's a bad movie. I think that is an excellent example of of the stupid 80s horror film. I don't even think it's bad. I think it's ironically good.
It's probably at least as good as like Child's Play. I mean, because those are all well-renowned
they're very
films,
similar.
but
they're very similar.
Yeah, exactly. They're kind of in that camp, right?
But I think Jack Frost probably predates Child's Play. Actually, now that I think of it,
does it?
So Child's Play ripped off Jack Frost. And they said, well, guys, I think like reincarnating him as a snowman is a bit outlandish. Let's just keep it to dolls. But yeah, I don't know. Like Child's Play, that was all right. I feel like it was a bit.
Oh, I barely even remember
stupid.
it. That's fair. It definitely wasn't as. I can't remember as much from it as I can from Jack Frost.
Yeah,
and I've only seen Jack Frost once, so.
I was only able to watch it recently because it was banned in this country for a long time.
What, Jack Frost was?
What? No, Child's Play.
Oh, Child's Play. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Why?
Well, it's quite a sad story actually because it was released, or it was getting released right about the time where we had like a big national tragedy where this little kid was killed.
Oh.
And like there was like too much of a like sensitivity around it, so it just got banned.
Really? Wow.
And like Chucky, that sort of age that doll is trying to portray, like so he was that same age, so there was obvious visual similarities, and it was just like very raw. I think not for me because I was extremely young at the time, but on a national standard, I guess, like it was just beyond the pale, so it just got banned outright.
Oh sure.
Which I don't necessarily agree with, but I certainly understand it.
Mm-hmm.
I guess if you censor the doll, then you got nothing left. So
there's just no film. There's just no film.
You can't just CGI it out like we did with all the Twin Towers after 9/11. Like every movie had to CGI them out because.
What?
That? Like like right after 9/11, every movie that was filmed in New York, they made sure to CGI out the Twin Towers, and even retrospectively, they did that for like Blu-ray releases and stuff.
Mm-hmm. Oh my God!
Like let's just pretend they were never there because that makes us feel better.
Same sort of just thing that was done really more out of trying to stop a public reaction about it more than anything else. I think. Yeah,
I just don't want people in the theater crying at inopportune times in your movie. That's fair enough.
The funny thing about 9/11, I was thinking about this earlier. Well, not earlier, like a couple of weeks ago. I was just thinking, I remember that after 9/11 happened, I remember going up the city where I live, and there's like this old hot dog stand that sells hot dogs, which are very popular in this area.
Okay.
And he was just giving out free hot dogs because of 9/11. And I was thinking about that the other day, and I was like, I mean, that's a nice gesture, but it's also slightly odd, especially.
Yeah. Hey, here's free hot dogs. That'll make you feel.
He was like, there's so much evil in the world. Have a free hot dog. And it's like,
It's a very loose association.
Yeah.
I appreciate the gesture.
There's a bit of a jump there. Yeah.
I like that though.
I still don't know how to feel about that to the day, especially as it was, with all the greatest respect in the world, we're in the UK, not in America.
Oh, sure. Yeah. No,
I don't know.
It obviously had a different. It's like whenever we hear about something happening across the country here, it's on the news for a day and then it goes away.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the whole news cycle is like that for everything nowadays.
Yeah. Although I'm curious, do you guys still have to suffer the? When I say suffer, you know what I mean. Every year, on 9/11, it's just It's nonstop. Like, let's look at the footage. All the news stations are like, we're gonna look at footage again. We're gonna remember. Here's people falling off the building. Remember that? Remember how horrible that was? Let's look at that again. Like it's really brutal here.
I have to say that I don't want to be that guy, but I wouldn't know because I just don't watch TV anymore. Because it's so bad. Like everything on TV just seems to be so bad all the time. But I still pay my TV license. It makes me angry.
Right, that's a thing out there.
Yeah. Although I do use the BBC iPlayer thing, so it's not so bad. But I definitely don't get value for money out of it. But like I've got a TV which I use as a monitor, and it's like it can just receive TV. So like there's no way of me saying I don't have anything that can receive TV because I just totally have. So I have to pay my TV license, like some kind of fucking pleb. But there you go. Just one of those things.
Now, given that you're from the UK and therefore responsible for all things that the BBC does, why is the BBC
me personally
taking off their great shows from Netflix? What is their deal?
Well, I always thought that was Netflix, not the BBC themselves.
I think BBC said they were starting their own streaming service, so they started pulling their stuff.
Well, I mean, BBC do already have a streaming service.
Oh, do they?
It probably predates Netflix, actually, now I think of it. But I don't know. BBC is stupid. BBC does stupid things all the time. And to be honest with you, like the BBC was like a really good news outlet for a long time, and then they've just turned to shit recently. Like just absolute terrible bias on their part, in my opinion. Like just dreadful bias that I think didn't usually exist. But there you go. I haven't really got anything to back that up. That's just my own personal thoughts on it.
Slander. I demand to see numbers.
Well,
and dots.
Difficult to substantiate that one.
Yeah, we should just sit here and die hard defend the BBC that we have no stake in it whatsoever. Let's just staunchly defend it.
Pay my fucking TV license so they just put out this shit. Fucking hell.
That's true. That is more personal. That is a more personal affront when you're required to pay them, and then they put out shit.
Like I see an article on the BBC about fucking PewDiePie, and I'm like, this is a waste of my money. This is just piss off. This isn't news. This is just stupidity. Well, get your ass to Syria and give me some real fucking news. I don't know.
I'm amazed that's made it to TV news. Really? Like people care
enough?
The
BBC wrote articles about it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I've seen a bunch of articles about it. Almost everybody covered it. It seemed like.
Yeah.
I think the Times covered it.
Why? They don't even cover regular celebrities, do they? Anymore? That's all left to ET or whatever. Whoever's in charge of that.
They still have a section for that, I think. I don't know.
Well, I guess the Today Show still does shit like that, but like, I would be surprised to see on Fox News something about Brad Pitt. Like, even Fox News, you know what I mean? Like,
Fox News are just going to be slamming him for being presuming. I've got to believe that Brad Pitt is left wing. Like, just Fox News are just be slamming him for voting for Hillary or something. I don't know.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I don't know.
Brad Pitt adopts another child. Check your privilege, Brad.
There you go. Yeah.
But you check your adoption privileges.
That's the funny thing. No one's telling Brad Pitt to check his privilege, are they? They're just giving him a shitload of money. It's funny, that.
Hard hitter Nick Lives. Yeah.
It's almost like like there's certain people that you don't touch with that ultra leftist garbage. I don't know.
Oh, indeed.
I feel like I'm not making many friends from all the stuff.
No, I don't take the silence as disagreement so much as I don't know how to add or subtract without. I have no idea. I have no opinion. I have no strong opinion.
No, that's fine. And I think that there's certainly like without wanting to dance around it too, I think like the Overton window for some of these things has shifted a lot recently, and I'm a bit like, you can't just get upset and disassociate with people just because they say something that you don't like. I just don't believe in that. I don't agree with it. Like you can disagree with someone, but you don't have to disavow it. Like it's not necessary. We're all grown-ups, I'd hope, in certain spheres, and you don't have to agree on everything with someone in order to associate with them. Even if that you might think that some of their views are abhorrent, as long as they're not going out and doing them, then I can't worry about it really. To be honest with you, I think people are getting up. People are getting upset with nothing nowadays.
I'm surprised people still have friends on Facebook, if that's an issue. Like, because that's all Facebook is now. When I check it and such, it's just politics, one way or another.
I deleted my Facebook account a long time ago, although that's mainly because I just don't trust them as a company. But
oh yeah, I guess with all you're concerned about the personal data and all that.
Oh God, hugely,
stuff.
Massively. I'm super concerned about it. I think it's really worrying. And I had to say that I never really put anything particularly juicy or anything on Facebook, but I'm just really worried that there's all this data and it's just being constantly mined, and I just wonder where it's all going to end. To be honest with you, like this whole stupid thing about Zuckerberg maybe doing a presidential bid.
Yeah.
Which I think like a couple of years ago would have seemed far fetched, but I don't know anymore. And like you can't let Mark Zuckerberg be the president of the United States. The man looks like a fucking tailor's dummy. He looks like he's been covered in slime or something. I think he is. You see a picture of that guy, it's like looking at a fetus that's just come out of the womb. He's like covered in this jelly all the time. I don't know what it is.
He'll make the people fat on honey, and they will be glad.
Oh God. He exudes this strange, transparent jelly directly from his pores. It's just so weird looking. I think he's a pod person.
High President Jelly.
Yeah, from here on out, the United States is just we'll just be trading celebrities for presidents. We've set the precedent now. Now it's just.
I think it's definitely entertaining from a non-American standpoint. I'm very happy for America to just have like meme presidents from now on. I think that's really good. Like maybe you'll elect a dog soon, and it'll be President Wolf or something, and it'll be like straight out of a 90s comedy. I think that would be brilliant. I think it could do a lot for your global PR as well. Who's going to get upset with America when they've got a dog as a president? They'd be like, Mr. President, these trade sanctions cannot stand. We will not stand for this outrage. And the dog will be like, "Ooh," and they'll be like, oh, I can't stay mad at you, President Dog. It'd do great for global politics. It'll be brilliant.
So tell us about your new game, President Puppers. Is that related at all, or is that?
I would never make, like, if I made a game about it like that. I think I'd like be treading on my own dreams. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'd be admitting defeat that it couldn't happen, so I had to make a game out of it. I had to keep out the hope that America will elect a dog. There's nothing in the Constitution against it. Nothing says you can't be a dog.
Yeah, the dog just needs to survive like 35 years. So it'll be a Monsanto GMO dog.
Yeah.
Oh, there's a good idea. Get on it. GM a dog up so it can be president. Give it just enough DNA to qualify as a president.
Its insides will be very red. More so than usual.
What's an American breed of dog?
I have no idea.
I don't know either.
Great question.
I just want to say off the top of my head, Golden Retriever is a guess, but probably not. I have no idea.
Yeah,
that sounds to me like the classic American dog, but
I would agree with you there. Yeah.
Old Yeller.
yeah,
The Old Yeller dog. Trademark.
What was your Old Yeller as a breed? Was he a Golden Retriever?
He was a Yeller.
I thought he was called Old Yeller because he was yeller, right?
Yeah.
Yellow. So he was
Trademark.
So yeah,
presumably some sort of Golden Retriever. Yeah.
Monsanto, go and clone the dog that played Old Yeller, and give him a little American flag cravat, or whatever you call him, or do-rag. No, give the dog an American flag do-rag, and then put him in the 2020 presidential race. And like, people would be like, well, I never thought about voting for a dog before, but we did sort of elect Donald Trump, so
Anything's a step up. Yeah.
We sort of did it.
doesn't seem so far-fetched anymore.
Whoa, that will be his tagline. Doesn't seem so far-fetched.
And you could have TV ads. Vote for President Dog. Ruff!
That'll be
Just
it.
sells itself. It's got to have a picture of the dog looking cute. Ruff!
Yeah.
Oh, so many good ideas happening right now.
Yeah, wow.
Keep
Ain't
track.
got no bone to pick with you.
Zuckerberg is exuding creative juice right now.
Right out of his pores.
What's
Presidential
that,
Google.
President Dog? Little Jimmy fell down the well. Ruff! You want to create some sanctions for it? Amazing.
Oh,
Speaking
Want
of
to
being-
declare war against Chile? Ruff!
That's rough. So, do you know other game developers? Do you work with other game developers relatively often?
Not if I can help it.
Ah, okay. You really want to bring it up because you seem like a real normal person who lives in the real world.
No, briefly, I like working by myself because that means that I can be complete. I have 100% creative control. But no, I mean, I don't necessarily balk at the idea of collaborating. It's just that I don't necessarily have time for it unless I'm being paid for it. To be honest with you. So,
Interesting.
that like, I can't necessarily collaborate with someone just for the joy of collaborating, just because I just don't have enough time to. But I don't have anything personal against it. Certainly, do you know Puppet Combo? Who did the Power Drill Killer games and
What are they called? Puppet? Wait, what? Puppet drill?
Puppet Puppet Combo. They're
Oh,
called.
Puppet Combo.
And they did the Babysitter Massacre game, and you may have come across them.
Huh. I'm trying to find their info and see if I can see their games.
I think they did Power Drill Killer or something. Power Drill Massacre.
Yeah, that's what
Okay. That rings a bell.
Yeah, those guys seem cool. You know, if they wanted to collaborate, I'm sure I could probably work out something with them.
They almost have a similar aesthetic too, so I can see why you kind of the lo-fi horror, grungy, almost PS2 era is what or PS1 era almost feels like what your Dead End Road sort of evokes.
Yeah, I mean you're 100% correct. That was one of my goals. You know,
it was to make it kind of like a PS1 game.
Yeah, totally. Because I feel like that's a underexploited look to games. You know, everyone's doing
pixel art
and what, and I think we're going to see a lot of Cuphead type artwork now as well.
You think?
I think so.
I mean,
I don't think anybody can afford it.
Yeah, I was gonna say I don't think anyone could reproduce it like effectively. Is the issue with Cuphead?
You know what? I'm willing to bet that someone will find a way to do it badly.
That's fair. People will definitely probably try their hand at it, but I don't think anyone's gonna be able to. Maybe you'll start to see more film filters over indie games. That's what I would. They'll be the same pixel art, but now they'll have the little scratch filter over everything and have a jazz soundtrack instead.
I wouldn't be surprised. I feel like that is a problem with the indie scene. That there's a lot of following and not enough leading.
Mm-hmm. Oh, for sure. Yeah. No, it's like it can be baffling sometimes because we go to indie meetups and such, and we can.
Yeah.
And I try to like sort of like. Form some. I feel like the more bonds we form with different indie developers, I mean, the more chances we all have of success because everybody can help each other out to some extent.
Yeah, totally. Yeah,
you need a little nepotism. You have to network. You have to shake hands.
Yeah,
it's like that.
That is 100% true. That absolutely is.
Totally. Despite that being the critique of the whole Meat Boy, Fez, the IGF, circle jerk. They got there because they're circle jerking. So
well, I mean, in fairness, I criticise it, but I also I don't begrudge it, and I don't think that they got there for no reason. I think it was just I think they had the right talent at the right time. To be honest with you, but But I do also feel entitled as the little guy to punch up a little bit.
Oh, sure. Yeah. No, that's fair enough. They're they're not above reproach or anything. And
if I want to throw a couple of rocks well, certainly a Phil Fish. I think there's few people out there who deserve a couple of rocks being thrown at their fucking glass house. But there you go.
I still think. Did you notice that his Twitter avatar for the longest time has been Andy Kaufman?
Yes.
That does that imply this has been a rude, like he's being a dick because he thinks it's funny? Like
I think there's an element of there, and I don't actually hold any animosity against the guy. Not that is even a concern of his, but just for my own benefit. Like I don't begrudge him anything, and I certainly think that he deserves the success that he's had. As do all of them, I think, really. But it's just I never thought Andy Kaufman was that funny. So
how dare you?
And it's not because I didn't get it. I just didn't think it was that funny. But there you go. You're talking to the man who really enjoyed Trespasser. So
I'm guessing you're not a big fan of like Tim Heidecker then as well. They're kind of in that same.
Remind me who he is.
He's Tim and Eric from Adult Swim. What else has he done? kind of dips his toes in a bunch of weird stuff.
I know the sort of stuff you mean. I don't have anything against it. It's just not really the sort of stuff I go out for. Really, I don't actually watch a lot of comedy. Really,
That's fair. There's not a lot of good comedy.
Comedy's really hard. Comedy's really hard because it's so subjective as to what's funny or not for you. I really like Paul Rudd. He's one of my favorite comedians.
Really?
I've heard about him. Yeah, I haven't seen any of his work though.
He's done some really funny stuff. If you ever see this short piece that he did about him using a computer, it's so funny.
No, I haven't. That sounds great though.
It's so good. He's like got this weird program where he's got like him on the screen, and like he's like giving voice commands to the computer, and he's like doing things like put on a hat, and like this fedora appears on his head, and he's like, well, give me 20% more wobble, and the hat starts wobbling of its own volition. It's just really surreal but really funny.
Okay.
It's really good, and I think he's like a really funny comedian. I love anything he's in, because like he was in Ant-Man, and that was really good. I thought that was really good.
Oh,
I think that's actually a short that Tim and Eric did. They used Paul Rudd.
Okay,
there you go.
Then I think I do know who that is now. Now that you say yes, okay, I have seen him before. Yes,
I did think
funny.
you probably had.
Yeah, I recognize the name. I just couldn't think of him off the top of my head, like his face or anything. But okay, yeah. I have to check out his stand-up though. I didn't know he did stand-up as well.
I didn't know that either. Yeah.
I figured he was an actor because I think he's just been acting in a couple of things, a handful of things, and
I think he did that classic thing of, you know, he went from being a comedian to an actor, which I think probably the two things have got a lot in common.
I guess they do. That and wrestling, apparently. Between wrestling and comedy, those are two routes straight to acting.
No, you mean wrestling is a route straight to comedy, or comedy a route straight to wrestling?
No, wrestling is a route straight to acting, right?
Wrestling is pretty funny in and of itself.
Wrestling is pretty funny. We only recently, I mean, maybe in the past 5 years or so, even found out that it was a comedy goldmine.
Yeah,
it really is. It's so funny. Like,
it's great.
Just insane, stupid shit is happening. Like, and you're like, that guy just tried to murder that guy. Like, actually murder him. Like, and like, they're like, oh, Vince McMahon is gonna throw you out of the team. It's like, that guy just tried to kill that dude. Like, do you think someone should call the police? Like, that was attempted murder. Like, and you're like, what is going on? Like, it's another one of those situations where you're just sitting there going, what is going on in this? I just don't understand.
It's so good.
Yeah.
That guy just ran someone over with his car, and like, and in response, he's cutting a promo about it. And you're like, someone going to call the police about that? Are they?
It's personal. This time, it's personal. Did you see any of the wrestling clips where Vince McMahon is in the hospital and Stone Cold Steve Austin comes out of disguise as a doctor and is pulling super fast punches on him?
I mean, that sort of stuff that makes wrestling this surreal, Dali-esque, like, weird environment where, like, the rules of reality just don't apply. You just go around trying to kill people, and the police just never get involved. But somehow it's also set in the real world. Somehow, it's just so mysterious. Like, did you ever see that one where Hulk Hogan is looking in a mirror, and then the Ultimate Warrior appears in the mirror, and like Hulk Hogan starts out, like, what's going? Like, it's so obvious. It's cheesy one-way glass stuff. He's freaking out, like, I can see the Ultimate Warrior, and like his entourage are going, "What's wrong, Hulk? What's wrong?" And he's like, "Can't you see him?" It's so good because it's so surreal. Like, and you just like expect to accept. This is real, folks. So good.
Yeah, that's a gold mine. And somebody somebody needs to milk it. I mean, at one point in time, we thought we would be the ones to milk the comedy in it, but it just wasn't for us. We wanted to make like a podcast where we were all wrestlers, but going about our day-to-day lives post wrestling and get into fights with each other frequently because we have arguments. But we just weren't the ones who were going to be able to pull it off. But somebody, all right, the niche is there.
Mhm.
Somebody take care of this.
I think there's an untapped gold mine for
Yeah.
wrestling.
Yeah.
Like even like the stuff which has become a meme at this point, like the Shockmaster. Have you ever seen the Shockmaster?
No.
It's so good. He's got a stormtrooper helmet on, but they put glitter on it. And he's the Shockmaster. And he talks like the Shockmaster. I am the Shockmaster. Like, you know, Colonel Claw or whatever his name was from Inspector Gadget. And it's like he's got a stormtrooper helmet on, but they sprayed it with glitter. It's just
Holy
amazing.
crap. I've seen
That
this man
was
now.
so good. Oh my god. Yeah.
Why hasn't
I want to
wrestling
see-
become widely available on Netflix? We need a very easy access here.
They've got their own streaming thing.
Oh, of course they do, don't they? I didn't know that. Do they have their own? We've been getting by watching YouTube clips of just like highlights and stuff.
I think
Yeah.
that's the best way to watch it. To be honest with you, I think like
The
like
actual
there's so much shit. Like they put out so much programming by the absolute necessity of it that most of it is shit. And because they've got their own, it's like they've got their own network, and there's like 24-hour wrestling on it, and it's like, well,
so there's bound to
you
be
got-
filler in there.
well, 99% of it probably, I'd have to imagine. Like, how do you put out that much wrestling? I don't know how to do it.
It's great though.
Yeah.
Definitely, someone needs to tap into some of the humor that comes with that, because the WWE games aren't quite enough, although they are very effective, as we found.
They are. They're very fun.
They can be very fun in putting bots against bots and just watching them go at it.
That is cool.
Yeah.
I really wish that someone would make a good one though, to be honest with you,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
like the last one I bought on sale, like I was like, I mean, I get it, but like it just feels like complete ass to play, and I'm just like, I want to like the character creation, but Christ, it like takes fucking ages to load up and stuff, and I'm like, Jesus, it's really
Yes.
painful.
It
I'm
is.
just like, can we just get a new development team on this, guys, and have just someone make a good one year? Like, just you put a new one out every year, so let's just take a risk on 1 year, and then if that doesn't work out, you can just go back to the usual guys, you know?
Yeah, no kidding. Or just, or at the very least, like an off-brand, some indie team or something needs to just make a very entertaining wrestling game. You know,
Who
one
sh-
that,
Who should they give the license to? Who would you like to see develop that license?
I would
Phil
say,
Fish. And it'll come out in 40 years.
I want to see it actually finish being made, and I do love all of the ridiculous monetizing and marketing that goes into wrestling, right?
Yeah.
Where they're just willing to hawk anywheres at you.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. It's
because
like
of that, I would like, one of the really, really big developers who delves into microtransactions a lot to get in on it and put as much places to pay real money as possible so that you get the real full experience, because that's what it's like, right? Every moment they want you to open your wallet. Make it real in the game.
So basically, EA should make it.
EA should
the
make
answer.
it, or Activision, or anybody who's willing to do the sleaziest stuff, but will get that product done, and it'll look shiny. Get somebody big on it, and then just try to rip our wallets open every second.
Going hard in the other direction. Here's my pitch for you.
Okay.
It's WWF Wrestling 2019, right? Produced, developed by Jonathan Blow. What would that game be like? That's what I would see.
Yeah.
A Jonathan Blow and Peter Molyneux companion piece.
Oh, could we get Peter Molyneux and Joe Blow in the same room for enough money?
Can they survive each other throughout? That'll be the documentary.
Oh,
that you get out of that.
You know who else we could get on it as well? The fucking guy from Hello Games, Sean Murray.
Oh, that's right.
Let's get those three in the same room together and say you can't come out until you've made a game together.
Can't come out until you've made lots of promises and make them public. Promise each other lots of things too, so you know what it's like.
I just want, because like I think and I think they are, in fairness, talented developers in their own rights. I just the super team of broken promises. Well, not in Joe Blow's case.
No,
really.
just ego there, right?
Although he seems like a decent enough guy, I just think that he lets himself get carried away a little bit too much. But
he is trying to write his own programming language right now.
Really?
So he's a little up his ass, at least a minute amount.
I think he's probably earned it at this point.
That's fair. I mean, he's made 2 games though. It's been 2.
They've been industry-defining games, though. In fact,
That's true. It's like, well, the one that was weird when it first started happening was Flambeer, on how they made their name, because they almost made their name exclusively off of GDC talks before any games actually happened. So, because they famously got their games stolen, right? They got Ridiculous Fishing stolen. But prior to that, they had just put out one free little game, the Super Crate Box.
Yeah.
Right? And is that enough to make GDC?
You know that those guys basically run an indie dev puppy mill, right?
I would know. Explain. I'm curious.
Well, the concept of Flambeer is not really. It doesn't really exist. It's like Red Bull. You know Red Bull.
Yeah. Okay.
And like Red Bull have got like their fingers in a lot of marketing pies, right? But Red Bull as a company, it's not a drinks company. It's a marketing company.
Okay.
They don't make Red Bull. That's outsourced. And Flambeer are like that. They outsource their developers.
Do they? I thought they were just like a 4-man team, like game maker. Like, I think the live stream development. Are we talking about the same people?
I think so. Nuclear Throne.
Yep, Nuclear Throne. What did they outsource?
I heard the work.
All of it?
That's why here. I could be wrong, but that's someone said to me that they're an indie dev puppy mill. That's what they said to me.
Huh. That would surprise me because okay. Admittedly, I guess live streaming your development would help you avoid such. That would be precisely what you'd want to do if you were an indie puppet mill, is pretend to not be. But like an actual example of one that I know of is Ark, Survival Evolved. They outsource all of their work, but they don't they don't hide it. It's just what they do. So it surprised me that if Flambeer was that, at the very least, like one of them has provably been seen working on the game.
Oh yeah, I don't like, and this is just stuff I've heard. So this is completely unsubstantiated rumors,
That's funny. I didn't know
that's what I heard.
The rumors have already started on Flambeer again. How though? What is they like? What is there to talk about? There's 2 games. There's 2 to 3 games to talk about, and they're all the same mold.
I think it's
like them.
I think it's marketing at the end of the day. I think a lot of it just comes from marketing.
They are amazing.
They're very good at it, but I don't know.
Absolutely.
I don't know how they're good at it. I don't know what they're doing. I almost. It just seems to kind of happen. Like people are excited about Nuclear Throne because Look, it's a shooting game with pixel art. Isn't that exciting? Aren't you ready for it? Like, I don't know. Like, you know what I mean? Like, they've never had a really hard hook. Okay, I'll admit. Actually, I take that back. They did have a hard hook when they were with Devolver working on the Serious Sam. What was it called? Serious Sam Random Encounter.
Yes, yeah.
It was a turn-based Serious Sam. That's that I can see, but I hadn't even heard of that until after the fact.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I guess I'm wondering, like, what was their pedestal?
I think you're right, in as much as they made a name for themselves and they made contacts, more importantly, through GDC.
Right.
I think that's probably it.
Yeah, that's probably the case. Yeah, I guess once you're on with a big publisher, then at that point it probably gets a lot easier to rope people in, and like, from that point.
I don't think they have the development chops of, say, again, I give him a hard time, but Jonathan Blow, he's got some development chops. Absolutely, 100%. So I don't think they've got the sort of talent that he's got, and that's not to shit all over them. That's just, I think that he is, without wanting to blow smoke up his arse, I think he's an important figure in the industry, and I would say that they were less so. But
yeah. Well, that's the thing though. The one of them, Raimi, he just does talks now, from what I hear. Like all he does is talks.
Raimi Ismail.
Yeah, Raimi Ismail. He just gives talks about being an indie.
Yeah, he's just
he's the figurehead.
He's a mouthpiece.
Yeah.
I've called it incestuous over and over.
Yes.
Yeah.
100%.
The buyers of their indie games are makers of indie games.
Yeah.
Their primary core audience, as far as I know it, is us. The way they
never had a
is
penny out of me.
GDC and Gama Sutra and stuff like that.
Yeah, in fairness,
100%.
I'm a big fan of Nuclear Throne, but I'm equally puzzled as to how it all
I think they're
up
cool.
to that point.
I haven't got a problem with any of it. I don't begrudge them anything. I just think that the best way to make money in the game industry is to exploit indie devs.
To be fair, yeah.
I think if you can find a
least
business
partially
model
true.
where you can, fuck over indie devs, you'll make a lot of money.
Well, I guess that's the goal of the asset store, right?
Oh, I don't think that's fair. I think the
No.
middleware is perfectly valid. I think that if you are a developer and you wanted to produce middleware, I think that's perfectly valid. I don't have a problem with the asset store. I think that that's always happened. That's always been a part of the industry. It's just been less widespread. And I think that the problem is that shit developers use assets badly.
Oh, no, sir. No, I have nothing against the asset store at all. I'm just saying, like, you're talking about wringing money out of indies, right? I mean, if you put out
that's
stuff on the asset store, that's your entry point right there.
Yeah, but then,
put something
if
on
you're
the
a
asset store.
developer, you don't need to buy anything off the asset store, I would argue.
If you're a developer, well, we bought some things off the asset store, surely.
Yeah,
that's
Definitely. I'm sure
But you
everyone
didn't have
buys
to.
a couple little tools. You didn't have to, but it is a time saver for some things.
Oh my God! No, we did have to for NAT traversal.
Yeah.
That's
For
beyond
actually
us.
forming punch through connections. Man, yeah, it would have taken way too long.
Yeah. If I didn't have to do that.
That was super technical.
Yeah, and that's fair enough. But it's not above the means of man, is it?
No.
The thing I think about these things is that all of these problems have been solved in development. I don't think there's any problems in development that haven't already been solved. And so it's just looking in the right place to do it, really.
So how do you do it alone?
Yeah. That's a good question. Yeah.
Well, I'm really passionate about scope. I'm really passionate about scope, and I will talk the hind legs of a horse about scope. I think it's just the most important aspect of development. Scope. You know, and if I could give any advice to any developer, not that I'm in a position to, but if I, as someone who has released games and met deadlines, I'd say scope. You know, if you're not thinking about scope, what are you doing? Scope. I just keep shouting at them. Scope.
We're getting a preview of your GDC talk right now.
Oh my god!
Up to the microphone. And just keep saying.
I'd love
scope.
it. I'd love it. I'd love to do a talk on scope because it's something that I'm really passionate about. Scope. Why manage your scope? Reduce your scope. Do it now. Why aren't you reducing your scope? Do it. It's so important.
You have any tips on reducing scope? I'm sure because obviously your games do have a pretty tight scope. I've noticed they have one thing they do, and they do that well.
Well, like if you want to reduce a game, if you want to publish a game, if you want to release a game, manage your scope, and the creativity comes from limitation. So if you like the game I'm working on, well, I'm not working on it at the moment because I've got some contract work to do, but when I've finished the contract work, then I'm going to go start working on that again full time. But the game I'm working on at the moment, I said, okay, the scope is going to be, it's going to be a first person shooter that is only controlled by the mouse, and that's like a really good way to manage the scope, because there's so much that you can't do
immediately
with just mouse controls. So
move?
Immediately that scope, yes, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
But it's controlled movement, so it's almost like a on-rail shooter where you can control where you're going.
Where you can control where you're going. So you just kind of point in the direction that you want to go. Is that the idea?
Sort of. It's a bit unique. I don't think anyone's ever done it before. I mean, it's not unique in terms of the technology, but I think the concept is. I've not seen anyone do it like this. Because have you heard of the Infinite Hotel thing by David Hilbert?
No, I'm not.
Okay, so David Hilbert, famous mathematician, proposed a concept for his students, because he's a professor, about an infinite hotel. Right? And the basis of it, being really concise, was in the hotel there's an infinite amount of rooms, and each of the rooms has a guest in it. So there's an infinite amount of rooms with an infinite amount of guests, right? So what do you do to get a room in that hotel? And the answer is that you go to the first room and you tell them to leave and displace the other occupant in the room next to them. And that goes on for infinity. Yeah. And so you've got an infinite room. They've got an infinite hotel with infinite rooms and one free. And it scales down as well, because then it starts talking about, an infinite amount of buses with an infinite amount of people each start arriving at the hotel, and they keep going into this hotel, but it doesn't matter because you can keep moving people down the hotel infinitely forever, and it gets ridiculous. But yeah, and I was like, well, I want to make a game with an infinite hotel in. So, and I haven't quite succeeded in it. Like, I used you can get a double as a variable, so that's how many rooms there are as a double. So it's pretty large. I don't think anyone's ever going to get to the end of it, so I feel pretty happy calling it. And it's technically greater than a double because it can go into the negatives as well. So it's two doubles, sort of. Yeah. So so the way it works is that you've got a big long corridor which you're always facing the hotel doors, and you go left and right by scrolling up and down. So you can go past lots of doors, and then if you open the door, you can then scroll to go in and out of the room.
Oh, interesting.
Huh.
So
Yeah.
a closed door means you move left and right, and an open door means you move in and out.
Correct.
Okay. Okay. And then you murder them.
Well, I have got to the point in development where people do like, because there's a set pattern for how you navigate the room, because it's sort of like about going in the rooms and looking for stuff. So you always look at the same points as you travel in that room.
Mhm.
And so, yeah, there's like people who jump out of wardrobes and stab you with a knife and stuff.
That is great. Holy crap. That's super funny.
Does this game have a name yet? Is this this project? I haven't.
No, it's I was super pretentious. My working title is something that I can't even pronounce, which is Latin for hotel, but I'm not going to release it under that title.
Oh, okay.
Nice.
Is,
I just gave a pretentious title for the shits of it, for the pure hell of it. I've got to
Infinite
think of a
Hotel
good
sounded
title.
like a pretty good name. If that's the essential
I
concept.
If I've learned anything from the nothing, it's got to be something that's Googleable.
Oh.
That means that I've got to come up with another one of my compound title names, like Infini Hotel or something.
Oh, okay, sure.
Or you can get something that requires more words, like we did.
Yeah, a
It
whole
just-
phrase or a whole. Well, Dead End Road seemed pretty good, but I mean, I imagine that one is a little harder to Google. I'm gonna try right now. I mean,
I think I'm some of the first results for that when you Google Dead End Road.
yeah, because it's just specific enough that it probably doesn't come up. That particular version of the phrasing probably doesn't come up very
Yeah.
often. So that one's pretty safe.
I think it's also quite a British phrase. I think it's used more commonly in British parlance when not like in American. So like, it just has to be not so common in American to be able to sort of get a decent search result on it. But yeah, the nothing just not. It's not possible to search for anything.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Did the
Which someone
nothing?
did warn me about, but I knew better, and I had to call it the nothing because it was based on a philosophical concept. And there we go.
I assume it's an ungoogleable concept.
It's from a German philosopher, and the original was Das Nichts, which the nothing in German. So highly pretentious.
Yeah. You know what? We need to think up an alternate title for this hotel game. We're gonna take care of this for you,
I'll take care of it
and
right
then
now.
you're gonna sign a contract to keep it.
Well, it depends who can get their version out quicker, I think.
That's true. Yeah, we'll race you. We'll steal your
I'll
idea, and we'll race you to the finish line.
I'll take the challenge on that one. No problem.
I would love to see that. That should be a reality show right there. That's your indie game race. There you go.
They did nearly have one, didn't they? With
Oh, that's right.
she who will not be named, lest she turn up.
Oh, that's right. I forgot that she was in it. Yeah, that's right. Well, yeah. The whole producer shenanigans with that. I'm surprised they haven't tried since, though. Like, it's... I don't know. Gaming in general is popular enough in regular culture at this point. It's pretty well
It's really difficult to televise, I think, as well, because, like, I imagine if they televise me developing games, then, like, 90% of the time I'm sat there with my head in my hands going, oh, God, what am I going to do about this? But that's the thing about coding, right? We all love to think that we're sitting there, tip-tapping away like some sort of 90s hacker, just like banging out.
That's true.
90% of the time, you're sat there and you're looking at this code and you're thinking, what the fuck is going on with this code?
Yeah.
I just don't know. Why isn't this working? That's what you do. You spend the 90% of your time just looking at it, going, I really fucked up this time. It's really balls up this time.
Oh, unless you're Ryan.
No, that's exactly what I do. That's. I mean, I write code all day. That is 99% of my day.
Head in hands.
That's the reality of coding. I love coding. I'm really passionate about coding. You know, coding. If you can imagine it, you can code it.
Right.
That's a Peter Molyneux quote.
Is it?
No, I'm kidding. That
Straight
sounds
up?
like a Peter Molyneux quote. No,
Oh,
I said that with too much. I'm sorry. I said that with too much confidence.
You had to. But I
It's
like
just the
Peter.
word imagine was in there.
It's really just because the
Yeah.
word imagine was in there.
Imagine.
Anything you can imagine.
But
You
you
can
can. But that's mad. That's why code is magic. You know, like you can. There's nothing you can't do. But it's just
Except
how
your bills.
long you're willing to spend on it.
No.
And how many, there's imagination limitations. How many skeletons can you imagine?
Oh, I can imagine that a lot.
Well, I mean, you can, but
We have
I
a-
can
have a
easily
hard
imagine.
limit.
Like a really, like, have you ever played that Doom WOD that has like a ridiculous amount of enemies in it? The title of the WOD is how many enemies are on it, but it's so like as far as the eye can see, it's like this custom map, and it's just filled with revenants, and it still can't be run on modern hardware because it chokes to an absolute crawl the moment you load up. It's incredible.
Doom. I love that. They're
It's
so
so
ahead of
good.
their time. They thought
It was-
of that many revenants.
Yeah, I mean it was something from the community, obviously, but
Sure,
it was released
sure.
like 15 years ago, and modern hardware still can't run it.
imagine.
It's incredible. It's so good. I love that sort of stuff. I really appreciate it. Like, I think that, again, like I realise I'm straying into pretension a lot here, but I think there's something a little bit artistic about it. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, sure. Yeah, no, I
Like-
can see it. We're big defenders of weird shit on the internet produces. Like, it seems there is something
Yeah.
to it.
I
For
think there
sure.
is. I think
Yeah.
there is. Like, it's almost like here's a game that likely will never be playable on any hardware.
Yeah, there's something
That's
beautiful
like-
about that.
That is incredible. Like 15 years. You imagine how much more powerful computers have gone in 15 years.
Oh, yeah.
Still can't run this Doom map. Just can't do it. I mean, you can load it up, but the
Right.
moment you do anything and all the enemies awake, it's just slideshow. You know, like you're getting frame a minute.
Yeah.
It's incredible. Although, to John Carmack's eternal praise, it doesn't crash Doom, which is
Wow. Impressive.
there's some tight coding going on in that engine.
Uh-huh. That's funny.
That's great. Oh, God.
Doesn't he actually work on rockets now? I think that's what I read last I checked.
Yeah, he's doing something about space. I'm sure
He's
he has.
actually he's an actual rocket scientist now.
I think that's a
That's-
big waste. I think he should still be making engines. To be honest. I don't think you let him
Looking
anywhere near the gameplay, but I think you just sit him in a room and you say, make some engines, and he
Yeah, turn
Some
out something
hot-
pretty.
some hot shit. Like, and I mean that. It's incredible. The stuff he's putting out is just like fucking hell, mate. Like Jesus.
Oh, I know. Did you?
That-
Did he have anything to
got
do with
chops.
the engine for the new Doom game? Did he work on that at all?
No, I don't think he did.
There were some pretty impressive things going into that. I remember seeing like a
Oh.
video or something about how. What was it? It was just how like geometry is changed or something on the fly. Some nutty thing to optimize
Yeah.
the shit out of it, and it was.
I mean, if
Crazy.
you own id as a studio, then you can get the best names in the business to work at that studio, and the most proficient because it's got such an incredible history. It almost doesn't matter who owns the studio, to be honest with you, because it's just that brand recognition. And like you say to a developer who's heavily into the back end coding of it, and say you want to work for id, like they're gonna say yes. I think
Probably.
Yeah.
it's got brand recognition.
It's true. All based on shoot 'em ups, but they kind of invented it for the most part. So
I think there's an argument to be made for that, definitely. Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, you always have like, oh, there were technically first-person shooters before that. Yeah, but like it set all the conventions and all the rules, basically.
Absolutely.
So
It was the archetype.
Yeah.
I'm still racking my brain on that hotel game name. Just want to let you know.
It's a difficult one, isn't it? It really is. I always pick these games that are fucking impossible to name. It's to my eternal displeasure.
I'm trying to also get as much, millennial isms into it, so you hit with the hot young. You feeling me?
I'm going to release the first game, which is just emojis as the title.
Yeah.
It's going to be completely, completely non-script, and it's not going to have anything to do with the game at all. It's just going to be emojis in the title, and that's just it's like Prince. He changed his name to a symbol. I'm going to change my game name to emojis. and Polygon can report on it and say how brave I am for doing it. How powerful and brave that I've been to release a game with just emojis. I wouldn't do that. I think I'd have to kill myself if I did that. I think I'd lose all respect for myself. I wouldn't be able to look at myself in the mirror anymore.
Yeah, come on. They'll pay you $1,500, McDonald's. Make that fucking emoji game.
I know I was talking about selling out pretty hard earlier, but I think I'd want a bit more than 1,500 to be able to not
only
look at myself.
1,500.
I think we're talking about my ability to look at myself in the mirror in the morning. I think that's worth slightly more than that. I think we'd have to get into the hundreds of thousands, if not the millions, for that.
$1,750. Take it or leave it.
I'm gonna have to leave it, I'm afraid.
I'm
sure Deli Interactive would be understanding. Interesting. Sorry, I'm sure they'd jump at the chance.
We'll set a Patreon goal.
God.
The very bottom tier. It'll be 10,000 souls, actual souls. Like we will sign them over. We have the soul contracts. Here they are. They've already been signed. You just get to have them.
If you buy someone's soul, does that mean you can get into heaven if they've been good and you've been bad? Can you use their soul as collateral?
Oh my God, that's such a good idea.
That's got to be the point of them. Otherwise, what point would people wouldn't be selling souls if there wasn't any value to them?
Well, but are good people going to sell their souls as well? That's the other question.
That is that's true. Did you get a damned soul by virtue of them selling it? Them selling the soul automatically. Yeah, it automatically renders it void, basically. So,
but then they don't benefit because they go to hell too.
That's true. Yeah, nobody benefits from a soul from soul contracts is really the lesson.
Just God sitting up there and he's just going, "What are these fucking idiots doing this time?" Jesus Christ. And like St. Peter's at the gate, and he's like, "Well, I'd love to let you in, but it's more than my job's worth, mate. God's up there; he's watching everything we're doing. I can't do it, mate. I'm afraid. He's got the bureaucrat hat on. Sorry, mate. Computer says no."
It's a very boring job. Heavenly duties.
Just got to wonder about it. It's like, what sort of approach does he have? A good bedside manner? Is he be like, well, I'm really sorry about this, but it does turn out that you were a baby, and I know you didn't really technically do anything wrong, but you didn't get baptized and you died before you could get baptized. So I'm really sorry, but you have to go to purgatory forever. I don't make the rules.
That would be my favorite thing to hear back. I don't make the rules.
You know, God, he's a real hard ass. He's been busting my balls.
Comments?
Oh yeah, maybe I should check up on the comments. Hello, Mr. Potato Man 2.
It's Mr. Potato Man. I know him from Twitter. Hello, Potato Man, Mr. If he's still there, he may have left already.
We might have alienated everyone away, and we've only got about 10 minutes left here.
No.
That's okay.
Oh.
All right, so I've got it. You're going to be so anti-establishment that the title of your hotel game will be the elevator pitch. All right? So it's going to be, it's an infinite hotel, but all the guests are assholes. That's the title. Try Googling it. What are you going to get?
Yeah. You're going to get results for that game, I think. Probably.
We
I
take
don't know.
cash.
I imagine you do. Do you take my cash, though? Might be a bit of a struggle.
Fabulous. I don't even know if it's green.
Like getting blood out of a stone, that one is. I wish you luck. Wish you the best of luck.
Call it Bubsy 4 as
So
the ultimate
tight.
spite.
I'm so tight I squeak, so... And I'm not talking about my anus. Well, I sort of have, but... I'm being more careful.
Yeah, have you played that Bubsy game? Holy shit, that's some good stuff.
Urge to Kill Rising.
I don't even recall what it is.
Why in 2017? Just why? I just no.
I'm Googling it.
Oh, good.
Bubsy.
Makes
Ooh.
I wouldn't mind if I thought that anyone liked that character ever at any point. But I just don't think that they did. I think he was always just obviously a shallow corporate effort to generate.
I think that's what they're selling it on now, right? They're going to sell it on irony purchases.
But you can't be ironic about something that's true. You can't do it.
I think that's what their thought. I think that's what their thinking process is. I think they were like, you know what, Bubsy is famous for being, this bad, shilly corporate thing. Let's sell it again now that everybody likes to be ironic about these things.
That's possible.
They're they're trying to make this their Sharknado. You know what I mean?
Oh. How do you sleep at night when you're out there doing that sort of shit? How do you live with this? I just don't know. I just don't get it. Like, I get how you can produce like a bad film and then it gets a cult following because it's bad. I get that, and I think there's a little bit of integrity about that because at least you were trying to do something honestly. But like when you're just like going, "Ha ha, guys, aren't we bad?" I'm like, "Yeah, you are bad," but it's not funny. It's just sad. It's making me upset.
Then you'll love the movie Rubber.
I keep thinking that you're talking about Rubber Johnny, which is another fucked up film, but
that
that
sounds
was
like a whole different kind of rubber.
Yes,
Yeah.
really, it's by the same guy who did the Aphex Twin video for Come to Daddy.
Damn, going way back.
Yeah.
Aphex Twin being the electronic band, yeah?
Yes.
Yeah.
And I think the guy who did Rubber Johnny did the music video for that, which I don't know if you've seen it or not, but it's pretty fucked up.
I'm ready to believe it. Gross.
Yeah, that sounds like a real Googleable name. I'm sure we'll get good results back.
Yeah, I don't think you want to Google that with the image search. Put it that way.
Hey! Now that we've only got like 7 minutes left, we gotta see on game that we've played.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
The
Steam Profit.
what is it? Steam Profit. Yes.
Have you heard of this, Paul?
Yes. No, but go ahead.
It's another developer, the developer of Defender's Quest. He's known for writing some cool articles on selling your game on Steam, because he's still been selling Defender's Quest years after launch. And he came up with this game called Steam Profit, which is a game where you basically bet on which upcoming Steam games are actually going to sell well.
Oh. Okay.
It's not mean-spirited. It's an attempt to help.
It's actually
your ability to predict.
Sure.
It's meant to showcase that everybody who comes out of the woodworks to say, oh, well, this game succeeded because of this, or this game failed because of this, is probably wrong, and they don't know how to actually predict these things any better than
so
else.
my bet would be I would put all my money on every anime titty game that comes out.
Yes.
That's very fair. In fact, none of those came up when we were on our list. Otherwise, it totally would have been.
I realise I've been monopolising the talk a bit, but have you played Doki Doki Literature Club?
No, I've heard a lot about it now, though.
It's so good. It's as a horror game, it fucking actually upset me, and I'm like, wow.
What?
Jeez.
Yes.
Wow.
I'm not going to say any more than that because I think it would ruin it. But that game actually upset me, and I haven't been upset by horror media for a long time.
Wow.
Doki Doki what?
Doki
Doki
Club.
Literature Club. Yeah.
Oh, I think I saw like a user review for it, and I think the guy was saying I was looking for a good dating sim, but instead just got depression.
Wow.
Yeah, so it sounds fine to me.
I thought it was really good, and it wasn't at all shit like I thought it was going to be.
It has 13,000 reviews, and it was released September 22nd, 2017.
It's also free.
It is free, yeah.
Okay.
And I tell you what, it's actually incredibly well made.
That's pretty nuts. I wonder why they released it for free. But it's that's definitely been the surprise hit among horror fans I've seen. Everybody keeps talking about it.
Yeah.
So I got to give that a shot.
And you can get a decent playthrough in 2 hours, so I think it's definitely worth playing.
Even better.
Yeah, totally.
Nobody got time for games anymore.
Well,
good lord.
It's true. Not unless they're multiplayer games, in which you'll waste half your life playing it.
But on the topic of our
yes.
Oh no, no worries. Kate. Oh no, all good. I guess really briefly, let's just for the chat, let's go over which ones did best that we guessed on. Jordan bet on a game called what was it called? Arena Gods.
Arena Gods, yeah.
And David bet on that one as well.
And David bet on that one as well. It looked like one of those indie darlings. It has a bunch of awards and all this schnish. I'm seeing that none of these are on Steam Profit's website, so I guess they don't have stats for these yet.
Damn.
But we can probably use Steam Spy to get a good estimate. Or I honestly just it's usually easy to kind of tell how well something's doing based on how many reviews it's gotten.
Yeah. Yes, that's a good proxy.
So Arena Gods got 23 reviews.
What?
And Cogmind is what Ryan bet on.
Yeah.
It has gotten 99 reviews. So
all right.
So that appears to be doing pretty well. And My bet hasn't even come out. It flaked.
Damn it.
I bet on a YouTube bait game that
Oh,
was
that's
about
right.
an old folks' home, which
Yep.
I figured like that looks exactly like what something that would get played a bunch on YouTube. It looks like it's designed to be that, but
Yeah.
I bet they'll bite. No sale on that because no idea what they're doing. Apparently, it's been made by Indie Gala, the bundle website.